We about made it. So we had some more technical difficulties. We're actually starting to learn this whole process. Seth, you have an awesome phone. We had to go take my wife's phone. But welcome to the second episode of Shots from the Sidelines, the video cast. We are definitely happy to have you with us. Sorry it took a minute. Seth, how you doing today, man?
Great, man. Welcome back, Isaac.
Yep. Welcome back, Isaac. And also,
thanks for having me on, guys.
Did you get a haircut?
Yeah, man, I saved it, and I'm just so hyped up on Packers juice. I was like, I gotta get my. I was happy Ned was cool because I was like, I gotta talk some football because I'm all jacked up on Packers.
all up on that Packers Mountain Dew. So
yeah, that Packers Mountain Dew.
Yeah, man. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking a lot of football today. We have a big show. We really wish that we would have been able to start on time, but stuff just happens. But we're going to be talking about the college football championship. Congratulations to Michigan. We'll be talking about Black Monday. So far, 6 coaches have just been axed so far this season, and we'll be doing some playoff previews and a state of the franchise coming up with 4 different teams, the 4 worst teams this past season. What is your top 5 running backs and a couple other things? And of course, Seth will be grading out the SEC West. But first,
if we have time,
we always got time. We're not on Buzzsprout. And that's another thing is a couple things before we actually start. 1, thanks again, Isaac, for joining us. 2, shout out to Frozen Tundra Network. They had me on last night. Pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I sent them a message letting them know about this. But that was fun, dude.
Yeah, it was really cool. I got to hang out with some of the Packer fans, and usually, that's not really the case.
Outnumbered big time, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Bear fan?
Oh, it was there was another Bear fan, and there was a Lions fan that I actually chased off, but
oh man, he was not having a good day. Surprising because he's in the playoffs, but he was having a worse day than the Bears fans.
Yes. So starting off and everything, Michigan dominated in the trenches as they beat Washington 34-13. In this game, Michigan rolled up over 300 yards rushing, 303 to be exact. Blake Corum, of course, was a major piece of that, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns on 21 carries. But Donovan Edwards, the first 2 times he touched the ball, 87 yards, 2 TDs. Michael Penix did not look like he normally does. And it kind of probably hurt his stock a little bit. He barely completed over 50% of his passes for 255 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions, faced constant pressure, was only sacked once, but just constantly overthrew the ball to any of his receivers, especially Adonze. And I got pretty much 5 plays in which Washington was right there with Michigan the whole way, and it just holding calls, everything. Isaac, because you are from Michigan, I'm going to let you have the honor to start talking about this first.
I'm sad that the only thing I'm sad about doing Frozen Tundra is I was having to watch in the background and my computer kept messing up. But what I thought was going to happen happened. Michigan's the more physical team. And what I was surprised that they, like you just said it, they weren't getting sacks, but they were getting pressure in Penix's face. It reminded me of the Chiefs a little bit in that Raiders game, except it wasn't that level of chasing around. But Washington's offensive line just kept getting moved right back into Penix's face. And he was just, by the end of the game, he was missing open throws. And it looked like, I don't know if they came out and said it today, but it looked like he cracked some ribs. He was in a lot of pain at the end of that game. And Michigan just dominated, man. They had to way more of a fight than that. That was a much better game. This was, I was hoping it'd be a good game, but it really wasn't. It was just kind of a domination. And Michigan just put the stomp on them. And go blue, man. I remember their last title, but it's cool to see one. And the Packers making the playoffs in the same week in like a shocker. I didn't think we were actually going to make the playoffs. So this is a good week.
No, yeah, you're having a great week.
Yeah, it's a great week.
But it was cool to see that, man.
I know who didn't have a good week or a good game was number 77 on that offensive line. I think he's the right guard.
73. Roger Rosengarten.
I think it was 77. I kept noticing. Dude got blew up over and over.
Oh, you mean the left guard?
Maybe it was
Yeah.
left guard, but
Yeah.
every time I saw 77, he was just missing a block, like on a screen pass, like just a half second too late to get his block, and the play would get blown up.
And then he would get tanked.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those games. They haven't played a defense like that all season, or I don't think they have.
Mm-mm.
Texas had a pretty good defense, but not to that
Not like
level.
that.
And you could just see Penix just didn't have it last night, and it was the pressure right up the middle. I mean, to me, that's the best kind of pressure where you're getting right in their face. And a guy like Penix throws off his back foot anyway. Those throws just weren't accurate. And I mean, that interception, like at the beginning of the second half, horrible play. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. It's like you just throw that in the stands.
Yeah. And, you know, with what I was watching and everything, the game was a little bit closer than what the score actually indicated, because it was only a 1-score game up until about the fourth quarter. And, you know, like I said, you know, there was just so many throws that he just missed. The first drive they had a 3rd and goal where he overthrew Roma Dunza in the end zone. Second drive, 4th and 7, overthrew him again in the second quarter when the score was 17-3. They got a little bit closer to 20-13. And then when he finally does connect with Odunza on a big play,
Holding call, right?
Holding call.
Yeah.
And it offset and then there was another play where they actually were driving again before it was 34-13, where it was still 27-13, kind of getting to the end, but really close, where they got a pass interference call, but still got a holding call on Roger Rosengarten for the second time in back-to-back drives, where it actually canceled out both penalties, and it was repeat 4th down. By then, game was already kind of in hand. I know a lot of people felt like, you know, that if Washington was to actually score on that one, they'd probably win it, but they couldn't stop the run.
Yeah. Here's what drives me crazy real quick is I think Michigan would have won the game no matter what. But I hate when the refs are calling these holding calls on one team but not the other. I don't know how many times it showed Michigan defensive backs holding the Husky receivers, you know, maybe just for a half second, but pulling their jerseys. And the refs let it go all night, which I'm fine with that, but just call it both ways. And it just drives me crazy.
And another thing that actually hurt them a lot is Washington only ran for 46 yards.
Well, I mean, Dylan, the running back, Dylan Dawson, he was injured. I mean, the guy was not 100%, not even close to 100%. So they had no running game, not even the threat of a running game. And then Michigan's out there with 2 great running backs. So, I mean, it was just like, what was it, 300-something rushing yards for Michigan to like 46 for Washington?
Yeah, it was unreal.
Yeah.
Let me see if it'll actually pull it up. I guess it won't do it if
I'm pretty sure it was like 300-something to 40.
There'll be something in comments. We got a few people watching. Nice. I always like when that happens live. It's more fun.
Well, right now we got 4.
Oh, I got it right here. 303 to 46.
303 to 46.
Hey, this is cool, man. I don't know if you're doing this because you can pay for streaming. I like it.
Yeah, no, I can do it in the stream, man. And you know, just for the people that didn't see it, this is what the last little bit was actually doing.
I did not watch the end of the game. After they got up 27-13, I stopped watching.
And you feel for them. DeBoer has rarely lost in his career, including his
there you go.
couple of years at Washington, but this team just did not have the juice and the muscle to handle this Michigan team tonight.
No, they definitely didn't have the muscle.
You got to give Washington, like you say, a lot of credit. The 2 years that Kalen DeBoer has been there, they're going to be back. They're headed to the Big Ten.
I don't know about
and
that.
Of course, for Jim Harbaugh and Michigan, what a season, what a story.
And we'll talk about some more of that stuff as like seasons go on and everything like that. But yeah, that was pretty much what I saw. And I was like, you know, it'd be really cool to actually just play that last little bit of what, you know, Michigan actually got through. Like Seth said earlier, 1997 was the last time that y'all won the championship.
Tom Brady, right?
Tom Brady. And I think it was, what was the other guy? Was it Henne? Yeah, it was Henne.
Was it?
No, Tom Brady was.
Tom Brady was there. And he was after Tom Brady.
It was the baseball player. Texans got him.
Drew Henson.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, that's why he's a wealth of information. Good job.
Yeah, I'm appreciating the college knowledge because I lack in that a little bit. But yeah.
Desmond Howard. No.
Desmond Howard. There you go.
Like early 90s.
I would kill my wife if I watched college every Saturday. with all the football nuts craziness I've thrown on her this year.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
Oh,
I pick and shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can always just go back and just listen to it.
Congrats, Wolverines. Hopefully they don't come back and take that title from them for the sanctions.
I invited Frozen Thunder to watch the show, man, just so you know.
So that's
maybe they'll hop in.
Well, just do me a favor and keep an eye on the comments, I guess. Well, we got one.
I don't know if I can, on my end, if I can throw them up on the screen or if you have to, Med. I made a little comment just to test it.
Hey.
So I don't know. I don't know if you have to click them. I've never done it on a computer.
I'm seeing a lot of Amy's.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, she'll be all right.
There you go.
Borrow my wife's phone. So anyway, going on over to the NFL and everything. Black Monday, of course, is a ritual that happens after every season's over.
Can you believe Vrabel got canned?
Oh, dude, it's up to 6, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more. But so far, since the season, of course, everyone knows about Josh McDaniels, Frank Wright, and also Brandon Staley. Those 3 definitely deserve it. Ron Rivera has been added to the fire. Arthur Smith, which I know that Seth is extremely excited about, and
first coach in the NFL. Love it.
And today, Mike Vrabel, yeah, Vrabel was actually added to the fire as well.
Yeah, I don't agree with that one.
No,
I think they made a mistake. I think he'll get rehired, man, in New England.
Oh, he will. There's already people talking.
If they let Belichick go,
New England. So
yeah, might be a coach in waiting situation.
I could see him being a coach somewhere else, but he did a good job there. It's like I don't feel like they did him any favors. Simon Hopkins wasn't a needle mover, and Henry was declining. Their defense was not that special. They were lacking talent everywhere. He wasn't the GM. It wasn't like the Belichick thing.
Yeah, some bad draft picks the last several seasons for them.
That's not on him when the GM let him down.
Yeah, and as far as Mike Vrabel goes, I mean, he had always was great with defense. Of course, he was in linebacker for the Belichick glory years when they were going to the Super Bowl. It felt like every year, and he did honestly very well. He went 54-45 in the 6 seasons, and I mean, you look at that offense; it was basically a one-trick pony with Travis Henry just being handed the ball 6-7 times a season.
Yeah, when you had AJ Brown, you had a pretty good combo going. But since that trade,
that screwed him. Yeah. And they tried to.
Hopkins had some plays, but yeah, they just were lacking. They were lacking a passing game. Other than that Levis blow up game, they couldn't move the ball at all through the air this year.
Why not just pay AJ Brown? I still don't understand.
I don't understand. Like with the Chiefs, why not pay Hill? Like I know they got the Super Bowl, but now look at them. With Kelsey starting to decline, they look like they're the worst receiving core other than New England in the NFL. Yeah. One of the worst ones.
With them paying Mahomes so much, you just don't have a lot of money left over. Mahomes and Kelsey, but.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, with depending on the situation and everything, like we'll get to Arthur Smith because I know you really want to touch up on that because it really feels like, as far as that's concerned, they're actually just a quarterback away from actually getting it done right. And I mean, I know you love some Desmond Riddler, but that's the big question.
Oh yeah, that's quarterback.
Did y'all see the end of the game with the handshake, Arthur Smith?
I saw
he's all mad. I'm like, well, how about you stop him? You know what I mean?
It is your job to stop them.
The Saints shouldn't be throwing up 30 plus on anybody. They threw up almost 50. That's an indictment on him.
I just thought it was pretty funny that Jameis kind of made his own decision just to punch it in one last time.
Yeah, he was like, how about I just get another touchdown? They can't stop me. Let's do it.
And so Ron Rivera, 4 seasons, 26-40-1. Actually did, in my idea, I mean, they kind of just screwed a pooch halfway through the season when they traded away their 2 big stars, Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I mean, yeah, Chase Young was also injury prone sometimes, but at the same time, he was a difference maker on that defense. And, once they actually pulled that up from under them, and the fact that they don't really have an offensive line, he was kind of a lame duck. And it felt like that even when they hired Eric Bieniemy at the very beginning of the season. I think in some ways he could be a coach in waiting, but at the same time, I've also heard that he might be going somewhere else. So
yeah, they've already reached out to several other guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt like the whole season it was just dead man walking for Rivera. It felt like it was going to happen. It was just a matter of
they cleaned out his entire office other than maybe the chair. And the desk by the end of the year, he was out there, man.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But, he just –
I just think he was,
Oh,
other
insane.
than maybe Arthur Smith and Staley, he just looked like a great guy. People respected him, which sucks. It's kind of like Vrabel, but Vrabel at least got some stuff done. And when you look at Rivera, I heard something. He'd only had 3 winning seasons in 10 years. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
He was that well respected. He kept getting jobs and he kept getting seasons after season because, I mean, he had that awesome Cam Newton year, which he kind of rode for several years in Carolina. But Washington, like we were talking about on Frozen Tundra last night, Ned, I don't think they've got their quarterback. I don't see it with Howell personally.
And, I kind of am thinking about the same thing, but also at the same time, they don't have an offensive line. So, I mean, the dude got murdered. Sam Howell got murdered.
Yep.
Yeah.
The whole
Yes,
season.
he did.
PTSD.
Yeah, he's
They got some weapons. That's the funny thing. They got weapons. And Brian Robinson was good for them this season. So they've actually got a nucleus if they can get an offensive line.
Oh, and there's a few free agents they got going on, and we will be covering that later in the state of the franchise. But, of course, like whenever you actually discussed Washington, you got Terry McLaughlin, you got Brian Robinson, and Antonio Gibson will probably be gone after this season. But, it's just a lot going on, and, I feel bad for Washington fans, but also at the same time, it is what it is. Frank White, Rich?
Frank Reich.
Yeah, thank you.
Frank Reich. I think it's Reich.
The brain was like, he went 1-10. I mean, didn't really have much of an offense to begin with. I mean, he had a rookie quarterback and basically a whole bunch of cast-offs, other than their big free agent signing was Miles Sanders. I mean, please. And, your best.
Adam Thielen.
A decent year.
Number 1 in Charlotte, number 2
He did actually.
But, Adam Thielen did really good. And if you had him in fantasy, he did great. But other than that, they didn't really have any option for him to throw to. Mingo was, of course, not really doing that great as a rookie.
Sharp.
DJ Sharp.
Trading DJ Moore away was the worst part of that trade, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You traded the best weapon away, a guy that we talked about last night that's been kind of quarterback proof and keeps putting up 1,000-yard seasons. He looks like easily a top 10 receiver
and you picked
in the NFL.
Also.
And then you trade them away for the wrong – yeah, exactly. You got the wrong quarterback, so you took your weapon away.
Yes.
They also – they talked about them and Bill Simmons. They probably should have sat Bryce Young at the end of the year. Like, just the last game or two, protect him from himself a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but right now he looks like the worst out of the 4 guys pick-wise.
Isn't that crazy?
And well, at the same time, it's one of those things where someone asked me to give him a grade in Twitter.
What do you grade him?
And I grade him a C+ because it ain't really his fault. I mean, every time he hiked the ball, he was running for his life. And
I think I'd go C. Ooh, dude, you get all this through StreamYard paid. That's awesome. The ticker.
Yep.
Dude.
So
yeah,
is,
I like it.
Steve Wilkes should have been the kind of like what's going on with Antonio Pierce, and we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. But Steve Wilkes was actually a coach that should have really gotten his chance. And the fact that they just let him go, and the fact that he has gone, I think, to the 49ers and has done reasonably well with them, or it might be Arizona, I can't remember. But
49ers.
He went to the 49ers. Well, he's doing great then. But the fact that he has gone on, he did 6-6 last year with basically a revolving door at quarterback. I mean, they've had 4 other quarterbacks before Bryce Young, and you look at like we just talked about, you got Hayden Hurst. Ooh. You got an offensive line that basically he set the record for almost rookie quarterbacks getting murdered as well at 59.
Yeah, they should send them to the XFL for a couple of years
and just let them develop.
Yeah, just let those players grow up a little bit.
Brandon Staley also got canned, and we kind of saw this coming after Las Vegas just dropped a nuke on him. And he's someone that ever since the Jacksonville game in the playoffs, it just felt like that the Los Angeles Chargers were not there. And, it just, really felt like he wasn't really gathering his troops, wasn't really doing anything. His defenses, which he's a defensive guru, have ranked no higher than 15. The other 2 seasons, they're lower 20s. And, I really didn't feel like he really, as talented of a squad as the Chargers are, they should not be picked, they should be in the playoffs, and that's just being honest. They're probably one of the more disappointing teams, other teams being the Saints and, of course, the Jaguars. But the Jaguars fired off all their defensive coaches today.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't blame them after that collapse they had.
Yeah, but
did we lose Isaac?
Hmm?
Did we lose Isaac? He's still there?
No, he's in the background.
Oh, okay.
Hey, welcome back.
Sorry, I accidentally it backed out. Sorry.
You're good.
And then I'm backstage.
But we were talking about Brandon Staley, the fact that he just basically just screwed a pooch on probably the most talented, losing record.
Yeah.
6-10.
I think Arthur Smith was the next one after, even though you knew Rivera was going to get fired. I think Arthur Smith just completely mismanaged the talent there. I'm not saying Desmond Ritter he doesn't look like an NFL quarterback to me, but with that other talent, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Pitts, they should have been better than 7 and 10. But Staley, before that, Staley just screwed up that Charger job so bad.
I gotta give it to Arthur Smith though. He's consistent. He was 7 and 10 every season. So
he knew the record he wanted to get, and then he achieved that.
No.
Good job, bud. He also screwed me in fantasy and a lot of people. So he angered a lot of people, I think.
But a big reason why he got fired is he had 3 picks where he had high draft picks that he picked offensive weapons. He had Kyle Pitts his first year, Drake London 2 years ago, and then Bijan Robinson, and hasn't done much with them. Now, the main problem why was because of Ritter. And, as far as that goes, depending on, I've heard Jim Harbaugh is a big candidate option for the Falcons right now.
They mentioned everybody. I mean, they were talking about Belichick a couple days ago.
No, everyone.
So they're throwing names out there. I think just smoke screens.
Well, that's one hell of a smoke screen. If y'all got Jim Harbaugh, that'd be great for y'all. But
I'll take it.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I'll take it.
Do you guys think Harbaugh leaves now that he got his title? Because he'd been on that doorstep. He'd been right there with Michigan the last few years. He got right there with the 49ers multiple times. Like, do you guys think he brought this Michigan program up even with the cheating crap? That's the only thing that kind of sucks that happened this year, but whatever. They were the best team, so it doesn't really matter. I think them in Georgia would have been a hell of a lot more fun than this Washington game. But
great game.
They couldn't have taken Washington out, but maybe it was a tough scenario. I think Georgia should have made it over somebody. Alabama gave them the fight, so I don't want to get rid of that game, but Georgia should have made the top 4. They played great all year and lost 1 game on the road by 3. Like, I don't think that's enough to not get knocked out of the top 4, but I get why they did what they did. But
you can't really put Georgia in there if Texas beat Alabama and then Alabama beat
Georgia. That's the problem. Even though Georgia's a top 4 team, which sucks. Yeah.
Well, and also at the same time, it's not really an away game when you're playing the SEC championship in Atlanta. I mean, that's 100% Georgia. They can't help it that Nick Saban owns Atlanta. I mean, it is what it is. Roll Tide. But
that's why I want them to go to 8 though, because if you've got a season and it comes down to maybe losing 1 game, the NFL isn't like this. Every NFL team, other than the Patriots, in 2007 have lost 1 game at least since the early 70s. So we've had over 50 years with 1 regular season team that's pulled it off. So NFL teams lose, even dominant great ones lose at least a game each year. Right. And they can lose 1 game. That's the only thing I hate about college. You lose 1, you're out of the top 4. That's why I'm excited they're going to go to 8, because I think it'll add
12 next year.
It'll add a lot.
12. Huh? They're going to 12.
Oh, they are going 12.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
As far as like what your question was, would Jim Harbaugh leave? Seth, I'll let you go first, and I'll go.
I mean, I was leaning towards him leaving, but with this championship, I feel like he's got such a good thing going up there. Unless the sanctions are just really severe, I would lean towards him staying now.
Mm-hmm. Now, me?
I think he likes the attention. He likes to flirt with the NFL teams, it almost seems like.
And he does like that, but what I'm going to say is you can go and kiss him goodbye, because I think he's going to probably leave, because he already all he really wants is he wants the Belichick power. He wants to be able to actually have his say, because the only reason why he left the 49ers was because he had so many issues with the GM at the time, which was Ballack, I believe was his name. And they just got in such a hissy fit about, personnel decisions and stuff like that. That's actually why he went to Michigan. He won his championship. He already commented that now he can actually sit at the big boys table with his brother and his dad, because they are also champions. John, of course, won the Super Bowl. His dad won a Division III national championship. And it's really cool. And I loved watching the interaction between him and his dad as they celebrated. And there's one other spot that I am so happy that Josh McDaniels is no longer a head coach, and it's just
for real.
There's something about him.
I felt like it was 3 months ago.
Yeah, and I mean it's still like it's Christmas for the past 90 days, Seth. But
it's been Christmas for the Raiders. They've been a more fun team by a mile.
I think Antonio Pierce is going to take it, and in all honesty, I think they are very close to being the Detroit of this year. Of next year, I think that they can actually.
I agree if they can. They got to get that quarterback though. O'Connell isn't it? Not that I think Goff is a world beater, but if they can get that quarterback, I agree with you.
Well, they have the number 9 pick in the draft, and I mean, at that point, you're looking at possibly getting Penix, Nix, or even Daniels at that point. So,
yeah, Daniels will be gone.
I think he will be.
He'll be gone in the top 3.
All right. So next one up, we're going to be talking about some Pro Bowl snubs. This is
I gotta look at the Pro Bowl roster.
You go ahead. We'll go ahead and start off without you. And what we did, we're only going to do 5 because we'll be here all night.
Oh damn! I only picked 3.
Well, you can go with 3, and then you can tell me about how amazing my picks are. Okay. But so you go ahead and go.
I got some. I already had one.
I think my biggest one is kind of tough. I think I'm gonna go with Antoine Winfield for the Bucks. I thought he just had an unbelievable year.
He was one of mine too.
I mean, 117 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 5 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions, and 12 passes defended.
That's crazy.
And somehow he gets left out. So yeah, that's probably my biggest one.
He was actually one of the ones, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and double up on you and put you another defensive player that actually got snubbed pretty bad. L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs.
Yeah, Sneed, yeah.
And, he had 4 defense passes, 2 interceptions. He never allowed more than 50 yards, but 2 times this whole season, and did not give up a single touchdown the whole year.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, Sneed was a baller this year.
Seth, which one was yours?
I went with Antoine Winfield.
Nice pick.
For the Bucks.
Nice pick. I like yours too, man. I'm literally looking at NFL.com. That was number 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with offensive player. I was thinking Allen, but I got to go Ayuk. It's kind of nuts that he didn't make the Pro Bowl. This dude has put up, the fact that he had 18.3 yards per catch, Ayuk, for the 49ers. The fact that he had 18.3 yards per catch is just ridiculous. Like, the problem is there's so many guys in that 49ers offense, and CD Lamb was going to make it, so I get it. I think St. Brown was a snub, too, for the Lions. I got 2. I think St. Brown was a huge snub for the Lions because he's just ridiculous. I had him in fantasy. But
he even had better numbers than Ayuk.
So if it's a snake, I'll take Ayuk and St. Brown for my 2.
Well, you all basically just named off. Altogether, we've named 4, but the biggest one and he's probably my favorite player right now in the NFL, and that's Josh Allen. So far,
yeah.
By the time I actually wrote this, he had 42 total touchdowns. It's probably 45 now because I think he had a hand in 3 of them.
How did he not make it? I just don't understand. Who did? Who made the quarterbacks in the AFC?
So they had Purdy was in there. Matt Stafford.
Oh, for the AFC. No, for the AFC. So, because I thought Jordan Love had a chance, but they threw Stafford in instead, which frankly,
they don't do NFC AFC anymore, do they?
They mix it up now. It's basically a flag football game now.
Yeah,
which really hurts me
right.
even more.
Yeah. So I know it was Stafford and Purdy.
Didn't they do AFC NFC?
Not anymore. That's basically.
There's a Facebook user. I don't know who it is. I think I'm not friends with them. They said who had the best career, Ryan or Flacco?
Ooh, Flacco, because he won a championship.
Yeah, I agree. Ryan was right there.
It's tough. Yeah, he does have the championship, so I guess he gets the edge. But I think consistency, Ryan had a better career.
Consistently. But Flacco never really had that receiver that Ryan had.
Yeah, they still do the AFC NFC thing, even though they're doing that flag football game. They still do it by AFC NFC.
They still do it? Oh,
yeah. Well, so the I'm trying to pull it up really quick.
Your question in a second. With Ryan
Flacco, yes.
We'll discuss it.
I mean, I agree with you on Flacco, even though I think Ryan, that's a tough one, man. Because Ryan was right there.
Yeah,
no, they had
the same year.
How the heck did Mahomes get in the Pro Bowl over Josh Allen? That's stupid. This season.
That's a good question.
I'm sorry.
How did Stafford? I mean, Stafford had a good year, but I don't.
How did Jordan Love not make it? Jordan Love had like 8 more TDs than Stafford.
Maybe they voted like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Well, like you said, it was a popularity contest. And
that's what I hate about it.
I am someone that is not really big on the Pro Bowl. I haven't been a big thing of the Pro Bowl since I was like 20 years old. I wasn't even a big fan of the Pro Bowl when I was a teenager. I really think that they should, and I understand it's for the fans, but at the same time, to me, it's just watered down football. It ain't real football. No one gives a crap about what they're doing out there. I mean, they don't want to get hurt, and I don't
wish it was the top 3 guys. I wish they would do like maybe do like a kind of what the NBA does. Maybe do like a mix of the fan vote with like NFL experts and like either NFL personnel or something else. Mix it 3 ways, so it's better because so the game doesn't matter, but it still is something we look at for like Hall of Fame criteria when we're comparing. It does come up. So like I wish it like
resume
had more weight, not the game itself, because the game sucks and nobody wants to tear an ACL, and I get it because people tear ACLs and hurt themselves in really stupid ways now, where it doesn't seem like it should happen, like the Bradley Chubb injury last week with Miami.
Well, I got one more. I got one more for you. How does the MVP of the league, Lamar Jackson, not get in?
That's true too.
No, he made it.
I didn't think Jackson got in.
It was Tua, Lamar, and Mahomes were the 3 quarterbacks for the AFC.
Tua get in it.
Oh, Tua.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like either Tua or Mahomes. Allen, I know Allen turns the ball over a ton, but he's like a modern day by far. But how did the dude absolutely needed to make the Pro Bowl? Like no way. And like I could make a strong case for Jordan Love over Stafford. I really don't understand that one. Even though Stafford had a renaissance season, you look at his stats. I'm pretty sure he only had 24 TDs. I know Love had 32, and with the 4 rushing, he had 36. So, and they were 9-18 to the Rams 10-7. So comparable records, and both teams made the playoffs. Not that I'm saying Jordan Love was one of the biggest snubs, but he did it without a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't think he had an 800-yard receiver. And with one of the youngest rosters in NFL history, I love Stafford. Don't get me wrong. What he's done with the Rams has been awesome. But that right there shows how much of a popularity contest it is. Sorry, I had to go on a little Packer rant, but with the receiver thing too, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how the hell did Snead not make it? He's probably the best corner in football, other than maybe Sauce.
I don't know. People don't know his name.
He's right there, man.
Also, at the same time, you got to think a lot of players will actually turn down the chance to play in the Pro Bowl. I mean, last year it actually happened. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen turned down the chance to play it, and that's why you have 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks on the Baltimore Ravens squad, with Huntley also being a Pro Bowl quarterback.
That was a joke.
So, I mean, I just look at it as a joke, personally. The Pro Bowl is just something I think they should wipe it out and just give them the title. Say, hey, look, you did a great job. Congratulations. You're a Pro Bowler. You're doing stuff. And just go on that route. But,
don't you think they should bring back that quarterback long distance throw? That was one of the contests that was fun. Those skills contests with the Pro Bowl is what I used to watch.
Club? Yeah.
Yeah, do the quarterback challenge. Bring back. I like the receiver.
I think this year they're doing the tug of war.
Exactly what it was, but the receiver one was sweet. But the skills challenge with the Pro Bowl is the most fun thing back in the day. They need to bring some of that stuff back, because that actually, I think, got more people watching than what they've got now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is crazy, because the NFL's ratings just keep going up. So.
Right. And let's actually pay attention. I'm guessing this is your daughter. Facebook user, because that's what she popped up as last time. But just to really give her like we're paying attention to y'all's comments. Please comment. We got 3 people looking at us right now. Hi.
I'm one of us. I'm one of them.
Well, look at you.
on my computer.
But you know.
Oh, Jamie Foster. There you go.
Yep.
It's
it's
my
your wife. Look at that. Hello, Miss Foster.
Great question.
Yeah, great question, Seth. Because that is your wife, I'm gonna let you go ahead, and if you had some time to
man.
go
It's
for
always
it.
fun when the wives pop on and leave a comment. Mine's done it. It's great.
Yeah, my wife never does.
Yeah, well, like we said, it's really tough. They're both drafted the same year, really close together, and the Super Bowl win, everybody's going to remember. Obviously, Matt Ryan was tarnished because of the Super Bowl loss.
But he has that MVP.
But yeah, MVP, and I think he had a better overall career. It didn't end well for him. I'm really surprised that Flacco still has this much left in the tank, especially after not playing most of the year. But yeah, Ryan last year just, oh my gosh, it was horrible for him. I hate that he went out that way. But I think better overall career, I still go with Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Seth, I got a trump card. What if Flacco goes on this improbable run and gets a second ring?
Oh gosh.
Would that lift him over Ryan?
Oh, for sure.
Well, and at the same time, you look at the quarterbacks that, not quarterbacks, but you look at the receivers that Flacco had. He didn't really have anything. I mean, he had Aqua Bolden, who is a borderline, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But right now, it's arguable that Amari Cooper is actually the best receiver he's ever thrown to.
Yeah, that's arguable.
Yeah. What's special about that run with Bolden was on the back end too, and the two of them just mustered some magic with that with Ray Lewis at the end of his career too, and those 3 just mustered. Flacco mustered. I mean, he was early in his career, but those 3 just mustered whatever they had, and it was just enough.
Yeah, nothing against
and
Flacco.
The lights going out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, when you have 2 Hall of Famers and 2 that are considered the greatest at their positions, as far as Ray Lewis and Ed Reed are concerned, I mean, that really says a lot. But also at the same time, you look at the fact that when the Falcons had Roddy White, Julio Jones, and Tony Gonzalez with Michael Turner that one year when the Packers beat them in the championship game to go to their
why you gotta remind me? That wasn't the Packers, was it?
It was the
Packers. Are you talking about the one where Cutler was riding a bike and he couldn't go back to the game?
Oh, no, that was a different game. Never mind.
I'm thinking the Cardinals beat us the first year. Cardinals beat us with Matt Ryan's rookie year.
I was thinking of the Cutler Bears, that conference championship today.
I was thinking of the game that it was the Falcons were like the number 1 seed, and I can't remember who played against them evidently because they ended up getting just stomped like 42-17.
Oh, the Packers have beat us. It just wasn't that year. Yeah, we got dominated one year in the playoffs by the Packers.
Yeah. So
I do hope y'all actually get a quarterback or figure this out so it's more fun. Because I actually don't hate when the teams in my division are good. I just hate when Brett Favre goes to another team in my division and beats me.
I definitely understand that.
Straight up tick me off.
It really looked like Rodgers followed suit because, I mean, just the same thing. But let's talk playoffs.
Oh, man. We can hit my game last. I don't care. I'm excited for all the games.
Your game.
I'm more excited for the NFC ones, though. The AFC ones are kind of shit. Crap. I should have said that. Are you guys excited about the AFC games? Because I'm not.
There's a lot of intrigue with a lot of these games because there's a lot of revenge factors going on. You got Stafford going back to Detroit. You got Tyreek Hill going back to Kansas City. You have the Packers.
That's true. Good angle.
Mike McCarthy. You have Flacco.
DJ Stroud.
Watson's going to be sitting on the sideline watching the Houston Texans and Cleveland Browns play. I mean, is he going to go to a massage?
That's going to be fun.
In Houston. Let's find out. So,
do you think that they're undoubtedly going to go to him next year? I feel like they're tied to him, but Watson's been such a bust, man. Yeah, they're tied to him. It's kind of like the Denver thing, though. Like, I legit think Denver is going to move on from Wilson, but that's
they're going to eat that. They're going to eat that contract.
He's gone.
And a lot of people, as far as Watson's concerned, there's some rumors that he could probably get shipped to New England. That's one of the rumors I've been hearing with him. But
I could see New England. I could see Atlanta if they don't land Fields. I like the Fields to Atlanta. I like the Fields to Pittsburgh. That's starting to make more and more sense to me with Mike Tomlin and that defense. I could see that working because I don't think they're even remotely sold on Pickett or Rudolph.
Tomlin actually returns it next year because they're talking about him going to the broadcast.
Wow, I haven't
So-
heard that.
Who?
I mean, they made the playoffs this year, so
Tomlin.
I can't see him going anywhere.
So
I don't know. That
So
guy
we're
seems
gonna
to
go-
love coaching. We'll see.
yeah, he loves coaching, and you get. I mean, I got the itch. That's why I went back this past season. But we need to get on to the playoffs. And the first game
Which
I actually
game,
do
though?
have is Cowboys Packers. We're talking ice ball.
Yeah.
We're talking.
Yeah.
Is it a catch? Is it
Yeah.
a catch?
Yeah. I need to wear my Packers stuff. Man,
So
I don't think I'm so jacked up for this because here's the deal. I just didn't expect much from my team. I was thinking the fringe wild card early in the season. Like because I like their pieces on
I
defense,
didn't
and then the
even think
defense tanked. Well, and then we were 3-6, and I was thinking we should tank it for a better draft spot because we never do anything in free agency anyways, like hardly ever. And the fact that they did this and came back from 3-6 with this up and down defense, I got to give a lot of credit to LaFleur and Love, man. LaFleur writing, just being a steady presence, and Love elevating the guys around him, which is something I haven't seen in a couple of years. Rodgers last year, but Rodgers also just created division, and the team feels so together. And I just love the way he's gaining confidence in these young receivers. If the defense shows, I think we have a shot. If they don't, I think it could be a double-digit loss. But I actually think Dallas was very beatable even at home. That Seattle game, they barely edged out. They barely beat Detroit. Philly's in a free fall, so I'm going to just kind of not ignore that game. They just have beat bad teams, and I think Philly right now is kind of a bad team. Just being honest, I think our defense is even better than Philly. I said it's bad last night. I can't say how impressed I am with Green Bay. And Dallas is okay at running the ball, but they're a little one-dimensional on offense with CeeDee Lamb. And that defense, you can run on them, and they're kind of just built to be ahead and rush the passer and try to force turnovers out of you, which Love's been decent at protecting the ball. So I feel like we can hang with this team, actually. If they don't just get a huge lead early, I think it's going to be a hell of a game, actually. I think there's a potential that Love comes out. He's been gaining confidence. He's had, even in that Giants game, he came back and scored late. The offense has been humming. Jones being back is huge for us. He's had 3 straight 100-plus games rushing. I think there's a chance we pull this off. But, I mean, I wouldn't put money on it. I just think we could upset this team and get McCarthy fired, which would be great.
So
I'd love that. So I want to go. I want to go to the game. I wish I could. I'm not
I
excited.
mean, all the pressure is on the Cowboys. Clearly,
Yes.
I mean, the
Mhm.
Packers didn't expect to be here. Nobody really saw that coming. And I mean, the Cowboys' failures in the playoffs, the previous years, they have so much pressure on them. Prescott still hasn't proven he can show up big time in a playoff game. So I think they can hang with them. I think they have a chance.
I think they have more than a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like a list of stuff that I could talk about. And I mean, Jordan Love, of course, had a masterful season. I mean, he went 33 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, over 4,000 yards. Aaron Jones, whenever the Packers actually, if he has over 99 scrimmage yards, they're 5-0. And that's like you've said before, that's a big key. And with the defense that I always consider Dallas.
We're down to 10th in points, if you can believe it. The Packers D.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I believe it. I mean, but to me, Dallas is just a finesse team. And I think if you're actually physical with them and you punch them in the mouth, you're going to beat them. And I mean, the Bills proved it. Dak has rebounded actually really well this past season because he was the interception leader last year. So he has elevated his game, especially with the fact that his chemistry with CeeDee Lamb is off the charts. But he also has 2 other good receiving options and Jake Ferguson, who is a huge tight end that can control the middle. And you got Brandon Cooks on the other side, who is just blazing speed. But as far as what I think is going to happen, if the Packers were smart, and I know that they are, they can adjust well. What they're going to do is they're going to just pound the run. And you got A.J. Dillon coming back, I believe. You got Aaron Jones, who's just been otherworldly the last couple of weeks. And then you have a Jaden Reed, who is just, to me, special. And, with the fact
I agree.
that
I like him a lot.
all those receivers that you got, all 20 million that somehow managed to beat up on the Bears twice a year, Jaden Reed is the one that actually I sit there and I look at and I think that's the guy that could probably do it. And I think the Packers, out of all the games, I think the Packers will win this one.
Yeah, I'm not
And if
ready
they
to say
say Gilmore on Reed and slow Reed down, I like it because I think Wicks could beat up on Bland. If Watson's back, he could be a home run hitter. We still got Dubs, and I really like this Bill Melton kid. And I don't think the Cowboys have the plethora of corners. I can't believe the Packers have a deep receiving core, but for one, and the first time in years, because they were just Adams and bust, we finally do. I like that we retooled. I can't believe we retooled and it happened this quick. So if Gilmore does slow down Reed, I like it because we've got other options. But if they're smart and they move Reed around because Gilmore doesn't float, I think Reed's going to have some big plays, Matt. I really do.
No, I agree.
And I mean, I guess that he had 4 catches for almost 120 yards against the Bears. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was great.
And they're all, and the young guys are peaking at the right time. That's what I like about this. We had early season loves, overcame them, and the offense and even the defense to an extent are peaking at the right time. That's huge. Whereas the Cowboys, other than that stupid Washington game, I was talking with a Cowboy buddy at work today, and I love him, but yeah, he was saying that they've been peaking, and I'm like, not on offense. Dallas's offense had been not doing as well recently, actually. They just scored 20 against Detroit. They scored 20 against Miami. They got destroyed by Buffalo. So that was 10, 20, and 20 right before that stupid Washington game, which shouldn't count. Washington's defense is piss poor.
Yep. Seth, you got anything else you want to add on with the Cowboys Packers?
I mean, it should be a great game. I'm looking forward to that one.
Can I hear some score predictions since I won't see Seth again after the game?
I just off the top of my head, I'll probably go 31-27 Cowboys.
That gives us a chance. I like it.
I'm going to go a little bit lower and say 24-21 Packers.
Well,
I was going to say, I'm going to say 24-20. I'll go. I think we can score on them. I'm going to go 30. I think it's going to be close, but I think I'll go 30-24 Packers. Yeah.
I like that.
I think we actually pulled this off. I think it's going to be by more than the field goal. So.
Well, if they pull it off,
because Dallas usually doesn't hang.
Jerry will be waiting.
They're not in close games very often.
Right in the tunnel, be like, yeah, just with the pink slip waving away.
That was genius. Feel free to comment and ask questions. I need to do that on my next one.
So, next game coming up, I have Bucks Eagles. Now, the Eagles have lost 5 of the last 6. They've been outscored 123-182. Jalen Hurts has struggled in those 5 losses and has passed for an average of 193.5 yards. This also a big thing a lot of people don't really realize is that what happened to their defense last year, which was 8th in scoring and 2nd in yards, this year is 29th in scoring against and 24th in yards. And evidently losing Javon Hargrove to the 49ers really hurt them a lot more. In fact, the Philadelphia – and this is what I told y'all last night on the Frozen Tundra – they had 4 players that had at least 11 sacks. This year they got 1. And if you do not put pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to get turnovers, and that's really where their defense really shined last year. Now, the good thing for the Eagles is that they will be playing the Buccaneers, who, even though they are winners of the last 5 of the last 6 games, their last 2 games were probably the worst games they played all season. I mean, you barely beat the Panthers 9-0. I mean, that to me is just abysmal in itself. And as far as what I got on that, Baker Mayfield arguably had his best season in NFL since, he's been here, even better than that one year with the Cleveland Browns when he helped them win their first game ever. Set personal best with touchdowns with 28 in week 17. So even if it was like a season from last year or whenever before they upped the extra game, he would have still broke his record, and he broke 4,000 yards.
Rashard had a better season than Jalen Hurts. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield had a better season than Jalen Hurts. Wow.
Yeah. Rashard White now he is more of a fantasy football hero right now, but he had over 1,500 yards in his first season, and the Bucks have gone 5-1. And in those 5 wins, he has touched the ball 23 times or more. So that's a key stat to really think about. And as far as what people think, the Bucks are actually a really young team. They're not a veteran loaded as what I thought they were. They might be on offense, but their defense, super young, but they have an average age of 25.3 years.
Wow, they're about the same age as the Packers. Wow.
Yeah.
So who are you taking?
Matt, I think the Rashad. I'll let Seth go, but the one thing I just want to say really quick, I think Rashad White is why the Bucs are going to win this game. Philly's linebackers are terrible in coverage, and Rashad White, I had him in fantasy. He's a fantasy beast because of his receiving threat. I mean, he had almost 1,000 yards rushing, but their offensive line isn't great. He's not a great actual running back, but especially against the Packers in that Packer game, Rashad White was killing us. And with him and Evans and Godwin, I just think they're going to destroy Philly's secondary. I think White is actually going to be the key in this game. He might have like 10 receptions.
Yeah, he's a very good receiver. I mean,
and they don't have an answer for him. Philly's linebackers suck.
Yeah. I mean, I was going back and forth in this game, but y'all got me convinced. I'm going with the Bucs. So.
I'm going Tampa, man.
Yeah, 5-1 the last
Philly
6.
Just looks like, it doesn't look like it looks like they're crying for help, man. They barely beat the Giants. That's their only win in the last 5 games. It doesn't even seem like they want to play together.
Giants last week.
Yeah, they don't even look like they want to play together.
Just beat
like
up.
They legit look like they hate playing with each other. The offense before Brown went down is healthy. They got Goddard back, and it seems like it's work. Like it's not fun. Like I legit don't know if they even like each other. I can't tell if they hate the coach, they hate each other. Like literally, there's a culture problem there. There's too much talent on offense to be this anemic like they've been. I know they scored over 30 against Arizona, but lost, which is sad. And they scored over 30 against the Giants the first time, but before that, they got shellacked by Dallas and against Seattle. They just don't seem. I know I've heard the Super Bowl hangover thing. I think that does play, but I think there's a bigger culture thing here. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if it's Sirianni or if it's Hurts. But to have Swift, who's been effective, have A.J. Brown, where would you guys rank him? I mean, what is he, a top 2 receiver in football? 3? With Lamb and him and Hill?
Definitely top 5.
Yeah, it would be top 5 in my eyes.
Yeah.
He's top 3 for me. Yeah, I mean, he's so elite. And you still got Devonta Smith. And you've got guys on that offensive line still. I just don't. It wasn't
had a good year.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert. I mean, the offense is loaded, but at the same time, I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, they just, as far as their defense goes, they have to put up points, and in a lot of instances, it's really looked like Jalen Hurts' arm strength has come in question as far as I am concerned, because I see a lot of defenders undercutting his throws and picking them off, and
I agree with that.
You could just look back in the early 2000s and say that this could be a potential renewed rivalry with, like you said, because I mean, right now the Bucs, I mean, I was thinking, like you said, the Eagles at first, Seth, but with the passing game that the Bucs have, this is potentially another upset in the NFC. And one game that I know for a fact I think is going to be an upset is going to be the Rams going to Detroit. When King,
I think there's a scenario where all three road teams actually win. Oh, sorry, 2 road teams. I think the Bucs are home, but they're home dog. So I think there's a scenario where all 3 underdogs actually pull this off. Seriously, I think it's very, very possible. Mine's the hardest one to. They're the biggest underdog, but if my team can pull it off, like you just said, the Rams can. We so we're all picking Bucs. I think we are.
No, we all pick Bucs.
Yeah,
we all pick the Bucs. Yeah.
I just Philly's giving me every reason to not believe in them anymore.
Well, and like I said, there's no pass rush, and if you give Baker enough time back there, especially weapons like not just White, but we're talking Mike Evans and Chris Goodwin. I mean, those are 2 really good receivers that probably won't be with the Bucs next year, but we'll see what happens. But
maybe one of them, maybe.
Yeah, no, I see them both going. They're just so expensive because Goodwin is a $20 million hit, and Evans is 25. So
they should have already signed them,
invested in the line, and then they
the
got
weird
paid.
Thing is too, the Bucs are bend but don't break. They're 23rd in yards, but they're 6th in points on defense. But Philly's gotten so bad. They're 30th in points and they're 26th in yards, and they're 31st in pass D. Their rush D is still somehow 10th, but that's not even that great. And like you said, they're somehow 19th in sacks. I don't believe it's hard to believe, but there's nothing Philly's elite at anymore. They're 8th in rushing. They're not. I mean, that's their best thing that they do, and they're just not even that great at it anymore. And somehow with AJ Brown, I mean, Goddard's been out for parts of the year, but with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and Hurts, they're barely ahead of Tampa in passing. That's crazy.
Yeah. So going on to the next
and
game.
18th. Crazy. Sorry. Yeah,
sorry.
That game's it's really just mind blowing to me what they've been doing.
Yeah. They are a
They might be. They should maybe get in your biggest disappointment, even though they made the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they can be. I mean, I personally picked them to win the Super Bowl, but that's neither here or there. But congratulations to the Lions for winning their first title since 1993. It's going to be a quick exit out of the playoffs in my eyes, because I just think Stafford's going to tear them up, because the Lions defense is just, outside of Hutchinson, there's not really anyone that really just sits there and makes me think, ooh. The Rams offense took off this year. The resurgence of Matthew Stafford, the emergence of rookie Puka Nacua, who had 101 receptions, over almost 1,500 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then you're looking at Kyron Williams, who just made that offense next level. Just amazing young man. The defense is actually really good. I personally didn't think that the Rams would be in this position. They went 5-12 after winning the Super Bowl, which was actually the worst start for a Super Bowl champion following a championship win. And you look at what the Lions are. They got Goff. This is the second time he's played LA. The first game was not that great for him. He passed for 268 yards, which sounds great, but he also had the passer rating of 70.1, 2 interceptions with 1 touchdown. And it just, everything right now to me, because the Lions pass defense has just been horrible. The Rams pass offense has actually been really good. Mm-hmm. Everything to me right now is saying Rams are going to go in there, and I'm not going to say it's going to be a cakewalk, but I think it's going to be one of those games where it kind of opens your eyes and you see a young team that, for all the work that Dan Campbell has done, and he's done a phenomenal job up in Detroit, he changed the culture. And I just see the Rams just taking this one.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Laporta injury is pretty big. I mean, he's got an outside shot at playing, but yeah, him getting hurt, that really hurts him. He's been huge this year. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. These two teams are fun to watch. They both have tons of weapons. I mean, Gibbs has been a great rookie. That 1-2 punch from Montgomery and Gibbs, that's pretty special.
Yes, it is.
But, yeah, I don't like the Lions secondary at all. I feel like they struggle there, and they've been playing a little bit better. But, yeah, I mean, I think I might go Rams too. I mean, before the year, we were talking about them being one of the worst 5 teams in the league, and McVay's done a heck of a job this year.
I'm leaning Rams. There is something about the Lions, but they've been playing tough. And I just looked this up. They're second in rush D. So if there was a defense that could slow down Kyron Williams and make the Rams one-dimensional, it might be them. But that kid's special. And the Lions' offense is good. I mean, and it's not one-dimensional. They're 4th in passing. They're 5th in rushing. Even with Laporta out, it hurts them a lot. But they still have Gibbs and St. Brown, and they still have Montgomery. And it's not like the Rams' defense is super special. So I do think there's a scenario where the Lions win, and I think it's going to be on the strength of their offense and their rushing game, because the Rams are 12th in rush D, which isn't bad. But both pass defenses are in the bottom third. So the Rams are only 20th, the Lions are 27th. So neither team is great in their pass D is very good. Where I went Rams is just because they've won 7 of 8, and while they barely beat the Giants, that wasn't great. And the 49ers game, nobody cared. Both teams weren't playing their starters. They barely lost to the Ravens on the road. They put up a fight with maybe the best team in football. And as hot as the Packers are, they're an even hotter team going in the playoffs. and I just like Stafford over Goff. So I just couldn't get there with the Lions. It was close. But if it comes down to Goff, I don't, even though he can get hot, and the Rams D isn't anything special, I just don't know if I don't know if the Lions have enough on defense outside of Hutchinson to stop the Rams offense. So even though I made a pitch there for the Lions because I'm trying to see it, I like the Lions. They're fun. The Rams look like a real legitimate threat. I was hoping the Rams would lose that game last week and we would have gotten the Lions because that would have been a slightly easier draw. And then I could have actually seen the Rams pulling off the upset in Dallas. Then the Packers wouldn't have had to play the stupid 49ers if they upset because we're the 7th seed now. But it didn't play out that way. So long story short, I'm going Rams too. I think if there's one team in the NFC, if there was a team that could go into San Fran and give them some fits, it might actually be the Rams. If there is anybody.
I agree.
They've been that tough this second half of the season. I think my team on defense, they're just too inconsistent. I can't see the Cowboys. I can't see the Lions. Yeah, so I'm going Rams too. I'm picking three upsets in the NFC.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now we're going to switch over to the AFC. First game.
Which one do you want to do first?
Oh, I'm already on it. First, game on this night, of course, is the Bills, and probably the biggest Pro Bowl snub in my eyes, which is Josh Allen. Should have been inserted. He has inserted himself into the MVP race after helping the Bills surge into the playoffs, going 5-0 after a 6-6 mark, and had a hand in 12 TDs during that win streak, plus 3 more, so 15 altogether. One of the things that I really like about the Bills, and I'm going to go Bills. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now because
we're going out on a limb there.
Yeah, way to really hang it out on the edge. But I mean, the rise of James Cook was probably one of the best things that could ever happen with the Bills. Since excuse me,
since disappeared the last 2 weeks.
He has, but I think he's going to explode. And if the only reason why I say that is he has almost 1,500. Well, he has over 1,500 yards. But he doesn't score touchdowns. That's typically reserved for Josh Allen. But they never had a running game the whole time that Josh Allen was there other than Josh Allen. I mean, they had Devin Singletary. They had Zach Moss, who is blowing it up over in Indianapolis, but didn't do crap over in Buffalo. And, they also have a decent they don't have Von Miller, and, of course, he ain't what he used to be. But they do have Leonard Floyd, who has actually surprised me. He has 10.5 sacks so far this season. Good year. So –
you got to comment to I'll let you finish in a second.
Okay, but as far as the Bills defense is going, it actually has improved. I think after they laid the smackdown on Dallas that one game, they did really well. And of course, it's going to be a matchup of strength versus strength because Steelers defense has been really good. TJ Watt should be a defensive of the player of the year candidate.
He's out this game, right?
I believe so, actually. But he had 19 sacks. But outside of that, pretty much the team is very gritty. I like them. Joey Porter Jr. was someone I wish that the Bears would have actually picked up if we still kept our second-round pick because of Chase Claypool. But their offense does run through Harrison Warren. Najee Harris, for as much flack as he got, he actually had a decent season.
A good second half.
A good second half, yeah.
Yeah, it was, he did come on. It was like he felt Warren coming on and he needed to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a miracle Steelers even got here. I can't believe they're in the playoffs, but credit to them.
Credit Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, my coworker buddy said go Cowboys. He was
go Cowboys, yes.
Yeah, that turd.
So, I mean,
one of my
coworkers. What do you think y'all chances are against the Packers, Trey? But
he told me we have a bet. We have a jersey bet. The loser has to win the other team next week.
I think they'll shut down James Cook. I think they'll shut the running game down, but there's just too many weapons at receiver. And then Josh Allen's he's gonna be hard to contain. I mean, the guy's got over 500 yards rushing this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. If you're not Lamar Jackson,
yeah.
Isn't TJ Watt out too?
Yeah, he's out.
And then Mason Rudolph has actually been playing really well these past few games.
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't think they're going to win, but there's comfort in that.
Oh,
what's going to happen?
They might get Fitzpatrick back. That could be huge.
Really? But yeah,
actually, I'm looking at it right now. Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt are both questionable, actually.
Yeah, I
They're
think
two best
the Steelers
defensive
are trying to
players
shorten
ever.
the game. You know, that's what they do: pound the rock, shorten the game, and try to win ugly.
Hold that ball.
But yeah, I don't think they can do it in Buffalo.
So you're going to steal.
I agree with you guys.
Bills. You trying to put words in my mouth?
I think the only way that Pittsburgh wins this is Allen gets a bunch of turnovers, which is possible. I mean, the dude's thrown 18 picks. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the only reasons he's not going to be the freaking MVP. He's had too many interceptions. Honestly, it's killed him. He's like, but he reminds me of Brett Favre, seriously, and he's got that level of stupid talent. He's got to make Bills fans just go nuts. It reminds me of Favre because you knew he could make some of the best these plays nobody else could make in NFL history, good and bad. And you're just like, that's why Minnesota didn't win a Super Bowl. He cost them it, even though he got them that close. He threw that pick, and it happened multiple times with the Packers. But unless Allen melts down, I'm with y'all. I think the Bills are one of the only two teams that has any chance of beating Baltimore, and we'll get into the other one. But
yeah. So you're going with the Bills?
And I mean, they're freaking 10-point favorites. I think they're the biggest favorites of the weekend.
No, they should. They should win their game because I mean, whenever you think of the Steelers' chances right now, what you think of is so. It is what it is.
And the Steelers, I mean, they're good in points, but they're actually 21st in yards, so they just bend and don't break. That's the only scenario. They keep bending and giving up field goals, hit a couple of home run plays, and wait for an Allen pick. That's really their scenario. Or Warren or Harris just bust off some runs against Buffalo's D, but Buffalo's rush D is pretty solid, and their pass D is pretty elite. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and that's without Tre'Davious White.
And the weather could be fun. Could be fun, right?
Oh, if it's a snow game, I'd love to watch it.
That'd be honestly, that actually would play into Pittsburgh's hands if it's a snow game and the passing game gets taken out and it just becomes a pound it run game. I actually think that benefits Pittsburgh. As physical as Buffalo can be, that's how Pittsburgh muddied it up against Baltimore. I mean, the Jackson was out. That's probably the only scenario to win.
The Steelers were playing the practice squad in that game, so
yeah, that's true.
Next game up I have is the Texans-Browns game. You know, if Deshaun Watson actually removes himself from a massage parlor, he'll actually watch a really good game. So the Texans are ahead of schedule. No one expected them to be here either. Like that seems to be the thing right now. But C.J. Stroud, he cooled off a little bit at the second half of the season when he started off really hot, 15 touchdowns, no interceptions. He ended up with 23-5. And, you know, his chemistry that he has with Nico Collins is a big reason of that, you know.
See that pass falling back to Collins in that game?
Yeah.
That division clincher? That was ridiculous.
Yeah. And, I mean, their offense is just – it's pretty balanced, and I like it. And, I mean, the Texans defense is actually pretty good too. I mean, Derek Stingley, who was kind of ridiculed for not being Sauce Gardner last year when they were drafted at the same time and he was drafted before him, he actually rebounded and had 5 interceptions. Plus also their big rookie that they got on defense after C.J. Stroud with a 3 pick was Will Anderson Jr. He had 7 sacks, but he is questionable for this game. Also, you know, DeMarco Ryan should be a coach of the year. Just saying that he's always adjusted well to whatever the offense on the other team is throwing at him. And right now the Browns are going to be throwing Joe Flacco at him, who has just basically found the youth. I mean, he's looking so good right now. And of course, I always said that the defense for the Browns is Super Bowl caliber. Myles Garrett, I think he had 14 sacks, but the rest of the defense is hashed out really well. They have playmakers on each level of their defense. And as far as the running game goes, Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt have filled in admirably ever since Chubb went down with that horrific injury earlier this year. If I was to actually pick a team right now, I've already said it before, I think the Browns could be a dark horse contender this year.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they can be a real contender, but I think they can win this game. I just think they'll shut down the running game for Houston. I don't trust Singletary, that small back, to get it done against this defense. And I mean, Houston's lost a couple of the receivers like Dell. You know, they did have a much better group of receivers early in the season. So, I mean, I love what Nico Collins has done, but A
You don't
rookie.
think he can do it by himself?
I mean, a rookie in this situation on the road, bad weather. I think that's just a little too much to ask.
Well, they're going to Houston.
I thought it was in Cleveland.
No, it's in Houston.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was in
Houston won
Cleveland.
the division. They get the home game.
Yeah, that's Watson's going back home so he can sit there to go to his favorite bars.
Oh, they did win the division, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they do get. It's kind of like the Bucks. They get the home game.
Mhm.
I still take Cleveland.
Still going with Cleveland.
Cleveland's 2.5-point favorites. I'm gonna make a Baltimore point really quick. There are two things that scare me about Baltimore. Lamar Jackson hasn't done this in the playoffs, even though this is probably the year to do it, and he's looked like he's matured this year. He really does. But I still got to see in the playoffs. It's like Dak, and they have had a problem in their division this year. And I think that Cleveland is the team, not Buffalo,
he's their kryptonite.
to knock them off. They're their kryptonite. And Cleveland's defense doesn't travel as well, but they are right there with Baltimore as probably the best defense in football. And I think CJ Stroud's going to have a tough day. I actually think this isn't going to be close unless Flacco falls off, which is a scenario that happens. His arm just falls off and it's done, which they could be a little house of cards. It could happen. That is the only scenario. And that could happen against Baltimore. But Houston's D isn't anything special. They've got a solid run D. They got a really good run D, but and they're great at throwing the ball, but they're not that good at running. And they're going to need to sling it to beat Cleveland, and Cleveland's got two corners, so they're going to try to lock Collins down as good as he is, and Dell's out, so they're going to have to Noah Brown or Woods are going to have to show out. I actually think this is a double-digit loss for Houston. As good as they are, they're ahead of schedule, and Cleveland's just I think on another level.
Right. And
yeah, I think this might be one of the least close games of the weekend, unless Houston really surprises.
I mean, Noah Brown could be out also. He might not be there. I mean, he's questionable. So
yeah, I mean, I've seen Woods is questionable. Brown missed last game, so you're down to Nico Collins as good as he is. With those corners, that's not a fun day. I love Stroud, but I don't know. It's gonna be hard.
And for our last game, we have the Cheetahs return to the KC back to Arrowhead. This is actually a game I'm somewhat looking forward to, but at the same time, it's just two teams that actually in some ways have disappointed me in different ways. Of course, now, on the defensive side of the Dolphins, they have Chubb and Xavier Howard out, two key playmakers on their defense at cornerback.
And Phillips.
Sure.
And Phillips for the year.
Yeah, I was going to say the other pass rusher that they have, Phillips, is also out. They have gone 1-5 against teams with a winning record this year, and they're 4-4 away. So that's another thing that's going on through my mind. Patrick Mahomes arguably had his worst season by his standards. He actually didn't have a single 1,000-yard receiver this year for the first time in his 7 years in the game.
Kelsey didn't hit it?
Kelsey did not get it. So, and that's what
Kelsey had 900 yards with several games left. He fell that far flat in his face.
Get into that because Kelsey has been dealing with more injuries than usual. Neck, ankle, and other distractions have underlined another disappointing season for him and his fans and the Swifties out there. So he's definitely struggled a good bit as far as that goes. The defense is actually pretty solid. They ranked second in both yards against and points against. They just don't get turnovers. Snead, who is one of my Pro Bowl snubs, led the team with 3 turnovers. So they do a good job of holding them, and they do a good job of keeping them out the end zone. They just can't take the ball. And even though I said that, you look at Tua and Tyreek, it's not, and everyone thinks passing game first whenever you think of the Dolphins, but it's actually the running game that's really nasty. And, A-Chain and Mozart, definitely a good combo, a two-headed monster back there. And also 2 other players that are questionable for the Dolphins is Javon Holland, who was a great safety last year, his rookie year, and was doing really well before he got injured here. And Jerome Baker is kind of like their leader on the defensive side of the ball. He is also questionable right now. That being said, I think the Chiefs might be taking this one.
You know what's crazy? I had to look this up, and then I'll let Seth go. With 4 games left, Kelsey had just over 900 yards. I had to look this up because I just find it mind blowing. And then he sat the last game, but so he had 3 other games, and he only had 80 yards in those 3 games. Dude, 88 yards. He had just over 900. He had like right at 900 with 4 games left and didn't even get 1,000. The dude is just, if he's not seriously like at like 70%, I think this might be the beginning of the end, man. Like he was getting double last year though, and he could get open. He was a weapon last year. That's why they were able to overcome the Tyreek Hill thing. And without him being a weapon in the middle of the field, and with the offensive line, I know the guards are solid still, but with the offensive line declining, this offense just the only reason they have any title shot is this D is so freaking good. But they put a lot of stress on that D because this offense has been pretty anemic recently.
Yeah, I love the defense.
That being said, I just don't believe in Miami at all. They've given me zero reason, Seth. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, completely agree. Tua just, I don't think I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I don't think he has what it takes.
I don't either, man. He really struggles against elite Ds.
Yeah, and this is a pretty good defense. I don't know if they're elite, but they're really good and they're at home. And
they're I think I'll pull it up for you, but they've been
they're second in points against and points yards against.
They're fourth in pass defense. So that's gonna be a tough day for Tua, especially if Waddle's not 100. Because the Dolphins are so top heavy. When one guy's out, it just completely kills that offense for the most part.
Also, Chris Jones has a running mate now, and last year he didn't have that when he had that spectacular season where he had 15 sacks. He also had I'm about to butcher it, but Karolofrif, he played at Purdue, and he also had 10.5 sacks this season. Last year he was injured, so he didn't really play that much. But no, he's been they actually got running mates for him now, and I think that's really what helped out their defense quite a bit this year. You know, if you can put pressure on the quarterback, you improve your pass.
They do a great job drafting. They never get many high picks, but they draft solid.
I got a question for y'all. Do you think if the Chiefs, they win this game, do you think they can go into Buffalo and win next week and go on a run with this defense? Because what's funny, as good as the D is, you still have Mahomes. I still don't see it. They're not as broken as Philly, but they're 4-4 over their last 8. And I just don't think they've got the receivers to make a Super Bowl run. I don't even think they have the receivers to make a conference championship run, actually. I think Buffalo would beat them.
Yeah, I don't think they can go in Buffalo and win. I don't see it.
Now they have to go to Buffalo. I don't think they can do it.
They do have
one. I mean, that's nuts to say with Andy Reid and Mahomes and a great D, but that D would have to play lights out. Like,
when was the last time they were a wild card team? I can't remember the last time they were even playing a wild card game.
They won like 7 straight division titles or something like that. But
it's just weird seeing them playing this weekend.
They do have one receiver that I really do like, and that's Rice. I think it's Rashawn Rice.
Rasheed Rice. He's gonna have to kill it.
Just short of 1,000 yards, but I think if there's any receiver right now in that whole quadrant of crap that they got right there, a whole horse manure pile, he's the guy.
Oh, it's not Scantling with his drop. You don't like Scantling?
No, not at all.
You're not a Scantling fan?
Like him when
the Packers let him go because they were like, this guy's trash. This guy can fly, and he could be wide open and drop it.
And what's crazy is last year he actually did really good in the playoffs. In fact, I think he was a big reason why
he did. That's what killed him. This Schuster still had a leg then and could play. He wasn't on one leg. And they had McCole Hardman. McCole Hardman was still solid. He hasn't been this year. And MBS actually was making some plays for him last year. The quality receivers have dropped so significantly this year, even with Rice having a decent rookie season, that where it's like, damn, man, they just. I've never seen Mahomes this upset on offense. It's been crazy.
So Scantlin or Tony, which one's had the worst season?
Ooh, Tony.
God, they need to cut.
Tony was getting death threats. So Kadarius.
They were like, keep him on special teams. Stick it on stuff. So we all picking Chiefs?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm definitely going Chiefs.
They're only, what's nuts is they're only 4-point favorites at home.
That's crazy.
In Arrowhead.
I can't trust the Dolphins.
Not at all.
Until they show me, I can't trust them.
No.
And you gotta
they're even though they beat Dallas, they're less trustworthy than Dallas. Seriously.
Yeah. And they beat Dallas when Dallas was on the downward turn.
So since I may not, I'll see Ned later in the week, but since I may not see y'all, can I toss a quick question?
Yeah.
Let's say this scenario happens. So if that happens, we're going to have Baltimore playing Cleveland, which will be hella fun.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco going back to Baltimore. And we'll have Buffalo and KC. Who do you guys think wins those two games? Assuming everybody's healthy.
I got Buffalo and Baltimore.
Yeah. Well,
I would agree, but I would not be totally shocked if Cleveland actually pulled that off.
I'm thinking it might be a BB championship with the Browns and Bills because
I think so too.
Has taken a little bit of a hit ever since Mark Andrews and likely has been doing really well at tight end, and they do have Zay Flowers.
Cleveland too.
That defense.
Taking Flacco.
Joe Flacco's not going to be afraid to go back into Baltimore and sling it.
He's going to air it out and crush them. I mean, that's a tough one with Baltimore and the Browns, but that would be a game I would want to see. But we need to go ahead and get on to the next part. Go ahead.
Oh, can I ask really quick? In the NFC then, if Green Bay, so we would have Green Bay, well, two of us picked Green Bay. So the Rams, we all picked the Rams. They would then play San Fran.
Yeah.
What do y'all think of that one?
Depending on what happens as far as like injuries and everything goes with the Rams, I think I'm still going to pick the Niners. I mean, I think the Niners at this point have proven that they have more capable.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. If I apologize. If Green Bay won, they would go to San Fran. They get killed. Yeah. The Rams would play. Who would the Rams play? Who's the two?
We went with.
Who do we pick? I'm sorry.
The
Bucks. And in that case, I would say
the Bucks. Yeah. So you'd have a Rams 49ers conference championship. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe.
A California beatdown.
Because I think the Rams could go into Tampa Bay and beat them. And I can't see if Green Bay does beat Dallas, I can't see them beating San Fran. So then you'd have Stafford, you'd have an NFC West conference championship possibly. That could be really fun.
Yep.
This could be a fun Super Bowl. Sorry, yeah, I said that since I might not be on with y'all next week, so I just wanted to see what y'all thought.
Yeah, and so we're going to go ahead and get over to the other half. We're running a little bit behind right now, but we're going to be doing the state of the franchise, and we'll be back in a minute. Cue the music.
You may take this down, Amy.
Yeah, please go ahead and take that. Well, Seth had to leave. It was getting late, so.
Sorry, I kept throwing stuff. I wanted to ask about the divisional round.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So as far as state of the franchise goes, we will start by basically the way that the teams finished and everything like that. Take it easy, bro. And basically, I'll bring up some teams that have gone up in free agency and everything like that. We'll be doing this over the next eight weeks, so we will be essentially like basically 4 teams at a time. So it gives us time to see what the playoffs play out and everything like that. The first team, of course, is the Carolina Panthers.
It's a sad state of the franchise.
Yes, it is. It's a very sad
state. Man, where do they go from here? Like, they made the worst trade in NFL history. I mean, they're not San Fran. You can't overcome that. The 49ers screwed up with, screwed up with the Trey Lance thing, but they were able to overcome it because they had just nailed it, and they got McCaffrey, and they got Purdy.
I don't think it was the worst trade in NFL history. There's one particular trade where the Dallas Cowboys made a dynasty out of trading one player.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's a really good point.
I mean, it's still a really bad
trade. If the Bears win a title, if the Bears win a Super Bowl, it'll take that title. That'll be your day.
And we'll see what happens with this year's first-round pick that we just received from this sucky team. And, overall, we already kind of touched up a little bit on it earlier. Bryce Young had a okay season, I guess. He had only 2,783 yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions with a QBR of 33.4. So I didn't realize how bad that was. But then also at the same time, whenever he's hiking the ball and he's basically just ducking cover, it's unreal. He's been sacked 59 times behind arguably the worst line in the NFL right now. The only weapon they really had on offense for him to actually throw to was Adam Thielen, and he had 101 receptions with he just barely went over 1,000 yards. And this tells you how bad it was. Jonathan Mingo, who is their third or fourth receiver, was second in targets with 83 and only had 43 grabs. So, and then you have Chuba Hubbard as your best back in the backfield, and that's all I got to say about that. I mean, the offensive line was horrible. They ranked dead last in yards and 31st in scoring. Their defense, which was not bad last year, they actually were pretty good. They lost the roar. They're Panthers that became toothless and declawed. I mean, Brian Burns, who had 12 sacks last year, had only 7 this year, and he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. And plus, also, they have so many players that are decent that are worth mentioning. Burns, of course, DJ Shark, Frankie Lavu, and Shaquille Griffin. But the Panthers don't have that first-round pick. And that's going to hurt a lot because they can't get a weapon. They can't get anyone like Marvin Harrison Jr., Donesy, Ibuka from, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s running mate. They can't get any of those guys to help out Bryce Young. So right now they're going to rely heavily on free agency class, which there is quite a bit of receivers. Michael Pittman could be one of them that can actually go down there. But
T. Higgins could be one of them. If he wants to be a number one, he's willing to try that, scenario. What's funny is the Panthers' defense in yards was actually pretty decent this season. Because I remember before the stupid Packer game, they just gave up a ton of points, partly because that offense kept turning the ball over and putting them in crap and spots. It's just a sad state because I just don't even see, it's like New England, except New England, I think, at least has the foundation of a defense. And even though he was mostly with, Tom Brady, a Hall of Fame coach, I don't even know where they go from here. Where do they go?
Well,
is Bryce Young? They got to find out if Bryce Young's it. So they got to surround him with some more talent.
Well, I think he's it. Personally, I think he can actually, if they actually surrounded him with talent and everything and gave him a chance to actually throw the ball, I think that would be straight. It's where do they start? They don't have receivers. They really and truthfully, to really build a great team, you start in the trenches. You get an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, but they really need
if you build the right way. I think that's one of the things that burned Atlanta is they'd like to build it. They're trying to build it with skill position guys without a quarterback in the line, and that burned them. Even though you need skill position guys. I mean, not that the offensive line was terrible, but they built it kind of the opposite way. I think I'm with you. You got to build it in the trenches. That's why Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. His defensive line disrupted Tom Brady, and time again, you've seen as much as offense gets you there. Like the Rams, one of the reasons they won that Super Bowl is they got pressure on. They were able to get pressure, and Aaron Donald made plays at the end of that game, but not just him. I can't remember if they had Floyd, but I know they had Von Miller too. So that's actually what part of the reason the Packers defense started playing a little bit better down the stretch was they were getting pressure, and that's especially in the Bears game. You watched it. I don't know if you actually got to see the whole thing, but that was one of the things that won it.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've got so many pieces to fill. It's gonna be multiple seasons, but if they're gonna be smart about this, he's never gonna succeed if he doesn't have time. They got it, and that's been the sad. Me and Millie Goats, who might do the thing with us on Thursday, we talked about a quarterback play, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, Ned.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of that's tied to offensive line play, especially this season. The offensive line play, to me, was down. There's some quarterbacks like Fields that do hold the ball too long, and there's other guys too. I mean, Ritter. but but the offensive lines really struggled this year.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the reason we have so many quarterback injuries, for sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I'm surprised that Bryce Young hasn't been killed. And, I mean,
I can't believe he lasted. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the smallest quarterbacks in the league, and, his offensive line is just straight garbage. And, it's the whole team just itself needs help. They got some pieces on defense with Burns, who will probably be gone after this year. And they got Derek Brown, who came from Auburn, and he's been pretty solid. But as far as like the teams are concerned, I mean, they have so many holes, and the fact that trade, really backfired on them. I mean, no one really saw it going to be this bad, but no, it was pretty bad. Our second team that I have, as far as this is concerned, let me see if I. Nope, wrong one. Nope, it's always the last one. Arizona Cardinals. They were 4-12 last year, and the big question I've already asked, and I've asked it on Twitter, is what are they going to do with Kyler Murray? Some people are saying that they should just keep him. I've heard rumors that he might get moved. They just got so many big problems on not just the big problem that they have is that they're going to be losing Marquise Brown most likely, who is his top target, and one of the reasons why they let go of DeAndre Hopkins and probably be one of the worst trades. Anyway, Buda Baker.
No, I pulled up worst trades in NFL history. That was it was a bad list, but that pulled up on there because that was abysmal. They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I hate when the teams trade these receivers away because we're finding that it's to be honest, I think we're finding that some of the receivers are worth it. You're paying a quarterback $60 million. Sorry, if he's that guy like AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill, or Devontae Adams, even though the Packers have rebounded, it's worth it. If they're that special, he needs to be a top 5 talent like Devontae, probably still is. He's getting up there, but Tyreek Hill definitely is, and I think AJ Brown's top 5 too. So I think those guys, when they're that special, it actually is worth it. It's a tough spot for teams, but it seems like now you're watching the fallout from the Cardinals. I mean, the problem is, how do you expect a guy to thrive when you take away a special weapon? Hopkins may have definitely, even though he can still play, has taken a step back, so I don't entirely blame the Cardinals for that, but that one sucked because you're handicapping Murray, who already has we talked about it. When you put in a study clause, that's never good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's because of what he did with Call of Duty. I mean, he did play better towards the end of the season this year. Maybe he just hasn't been playing as much Call of Duty. I mean, I heard it was but it was more of an expansion pack, really. But one of the things that has actually happened for the Cardinals as far as the silver lining goes is that they picked up a good tight end in Trey McBride. I mean, he's been doing well. And
he might have been top 5 down the stretch, man. Seriously.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the dude can catch. He had another touchdown, so we'll just say he had around 80 catches for roughly 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's doing really well. The defense is actually pretty rough, where they had 32 sacks, and but were ranked 31st with points against with 27.1. And I think it actually helped them out a little bit because last year when they traded down with the Texans and got an extra pick this coming draft, they got Paris Johnson. So they got that, that cornerstone tackle on the outside. But like I said, I mean, right now the 2 biggest needs that they have is receiver and offensive line. And, they're talking about like having another edge rusher or something like that on the outside for the pair. They really just need somebody at this point. Buda Baker can't tackle everyone.
Exactly. Do you think the coach is the right coach?
Actually, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things
it's possible.
So depleted that you really have to give coaches. I know some people like with Frank Wright. I mean, it just didn't feel right to begin with, but you have to give coaches at least a chance to turn the team around. And
Yeah, I don't like when they get fired one season and even when
one
they're like
season
1 and
in,
10.
I mean, the Texans
It's
did.
not enough of a sample size to know what you're getting. And if they were going to turn things around, I think they need at least 2 seasons to 3. I'm not sure about Murray. I mean, he's got speed and he can make some plays. He's been a Pro Bowl level talent. He's been a Pro Bowler, but personally, I don't think there's a future with him long term as your quarterback in Arizona. I think the best case scenario you're going to get is a wild card team, and I just personally don't like. This is coming from a spoiled position as a Packers fan, but I kind of have a motto with the NFL because I was ready to get rid of Rodgers a year early, even after the MVP. I was kind of over it. It was hard to do it, but after Adams, I was like, maybe we just cut ties now. Honestly, I was way more okay with that after that season, but I was kind of ready before. I was over his drama and all that. It just was. It handicaps your team when it's that much bullshit.
Right.
It just was too much bullshit. But if you're not sure, you're sure.
Yeah,
and
no, I agree with
And with Murray, I'm not sure. So if I was the GM, you either do one of two things: you either completely surround him with talent, so you're sure, like they could do Fields, they could go option A and take Marvin Harrison and find out. I mean, you're really going to find out, or you move on. And the sad thing with Murray is they put a lot of money into him, and that's what teams are finding. I think NFL quarterback contracts are going to get structured differently. Maybe I don't know if teams are going to be willing to do it, but you're
They
watching
already
teams want to
started
get out
doing
of these contracts. You're watching teams want to get out of these contracts. Like, do the Cowboys, as good as he is, do the Cowboys want to pay Dak $60 million? They're going to do it. Should they? No, they shouldn't, because not even Mahomes is worth $60 million. Like, in my opinion, you know, no guy's worth 25% because it handicaps the rest of your team. And if you're going to pay that $60 million, it needs to be a Mahomes, Allen level talent.
Yeah.
Even Allen hasn't even gotten to the Super Bowl, but it needs to be someone that's going to elevate the rest of the team. And Murray is definitely a tier, if not 2 below that. Like, I could name healthy 10 quarterbacks I'd rattle off without even having a problem getting to Murray.
No, I
Like,
agree with
seriously, we could go. It would be so easy. So, to me, if he's middle of the pack, like, that's what you're getting. Like, where does Murray fall health wise? Like, when they're healthy, you got Mahomes, Allen, Jackson. I would rather have Stafford. I'd rather have Purdy. I'd rather have Dak. There's 6 quarterbacks right there. I'd probably rather have Love at this point than him. Oh, let's keep going. NFC South. I mean, that's 7. But
Yeah.
I don't know about Tua. Tua's tough. That's a tough one. You'd rather have Burrow. You're already at 8 quarterbacks. Thinking in the AFC, who else is there? Not Pittsburgh.
Well,
not Cleveland.
I mean, you
so
can
you're
name
around
out
9.
but I mean, basically, the one question is what will they do with him? And they don't really know if they want to be able to ship him off or whatnot. You know, there's
It's
just
a tougher scenario. Yeah, it's tougher than that.
Yeah. And you know, that's pretty much what it is with that. The next team I got up is actually the New England Patriots. At 4-13. Pretty much everyone already knows what they'll probably end up doing with their first round pick. It's pretty much who's going to be there is really the one question. They had low scoring offense with 14.6 points per game. Really and truthfully, and one of the things I've always said is that Bill Belichick never gave any of his quarterbacks any real favors as far as like what they did this past season, especially. But yes, that just texted me. He said he had meetings in the morning. That's why he had to bounce. But, you know, every single.
Tom, thanks, man. Sorry, I made it longer.
Oh, you're good. The defense is typically pretty solid, but it's also because Bill Belichick always invests on his defense. I mean, Matthew Judon, Christian Gonzalez, all them boys. The defense will keep them in games, but if you can't score points, you're not going to win games. And, you know, when you have your biggest threat on offense is Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, that's really saying a lot.
Zeke Elliott. Or Zeke
Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. I mean,
at this stage in his career, that's not.
No, and in the past, it's worked out for him that he can get bargain basement veterans for very low mid-grade draft picks. I mean, he got Randy Moss on a 4th round pick. He got Corey Dillon with a 4th round pick. That's not happening anymore. And I was talking to one of my buddies at work the other day. He simply just said, with Tom Brady being there, a lot of people would want to play there because of the Tom Brady aura. And I mean,
yeah, they got to get that. They got to get that guy. They've got to get that quarterback, and they got to get some receivers because these receivers suck so bad. I heard Bill Simmons saying they've got talent at receiver. I'm like, what? Devontae Parker? Good luck with that. He's not a number 3. I'm sorry. Like, they don't have anybody. Their best.
No.
They did. I will say this. I like Hunter Henry. I think that's a tight end you could build around, but they got to get
only one. I like Gesicki too.
They have one weapon in the pass game, and when it's your tight end and he's not even top 3 or 5, that's not good.
No, I wouldn't even say right now. I would say he's probably around 8, but you also got Gesicki, and it just felt like he, what they were trying to do was trying to get the old band back together with trying to replicate Gronk and Hernandez again with Hunter Henry and Gesicki.
They did, and I get that because it worked for them in the past. But
it's past them.
You got to have a super strong run game if that's what you're doing, and you got to have a strong. That only works when you've got an elite quarterback, and they don't even have a starting level quarterback. I'm sorry, they've wrecked Mac Jones, and you don't want Bailey Zappi as your quarterback, so time to move on. I heard that in Frozen Thunder. I was like, no, you don't want Bailey Zappi as your starter.
No, you don't.
You don't.
And,
you don't.
In some parts of me, I think if Mac Jones went somewhere else, he would have probably done better. It's just.
I agree with that. I think it's sad that he probably won't get another shot because I think in the right system, you might actually get a pretty good Mac Jones.
Just to bring up the notable free agents this coming year, you got Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Uzi, and Kyle Duggar. So you got some playmakers on defense. Also, like we just said, Hunter Henry being probably not probably, is your best receiving threat on that team, all potentially leaving you. So you're pretty much, when you hit that reset button, you're doing a hard restart. So
exactly. I think that I could see T. Higgins going there if he doesn't go. I love him in Green Bay, even though we like our receivers, or Carolina. I could see New England, actually, especially if they get the right quarterback in the draft after. But I could see T. Higgins going there for whatever quarterback they draft. I think it's a possibility. Because I think Cincinnati, unfortunately, is going to have to part ways.
Oh, they will. They will. I mean, you have Jamar Chase, you got Tyler Boyd, you got, Joe Burrow just got that massive contract. Joe Mixon probably won't be back, but what you got to pay, someone's got to get cut. You can't pay them all. And T. Higgins, he's going to be on a lot of teams' radars as far as where he might actually go. So will Michael Pittman. One of the things I would actually think is, would a veteran really want to be going to a situation where it's going to be a hard rebuild like this?
Mm-hmm.
And, that's one of the things that you can get that money, but you're not getting no rings. And, there is fast turnaround. Like I said, no one really saw the Rams getting to where they are right now, nor did they.
No, not especially when they went all in. The fact that they were able to do this and have their cake and eat it too is kind of impressive. Because they could, if they can continue to retool under Stafford and rebuild that D up, they could be scary next year with Nakua if Cooper Kupp can be healthy. If Stafford's health is the key. But with Kyron Williams, they could be a serious. Other than, I think, I know you're going to hate this. I think Green Bay is on the rise unless they screw up that defense.
They are.
And the Rams, and I think the Lions and the 49ers are going to be the teams next year. I think Dallas is in some serious trouble because they're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb and Dak soon. And that window, if there was a window for them, and they're going to lose some talent. They've actually done pretty good on the fringes, getting Cooks and Gilmore. Right. But they're going to have to have guys come back on team-friendly deals to keep that intact. Like Dak really needs to take a pay cut, or they have to restructure him. He's going to get a $60 million cap hit this year. So, question for you: do you think Vrabel goes to New England? Do you think New England keeps Belichick as coach and removes him as GM? What do you think they do there?
I think they're going to cut him as GM, but I could see Vrabel going back there. I mean, he's got the same type of style that Bill Belichick has, to where you round the ball, you play great defense, and then you build off of that. The only thing is that also in Tennessee, they had a similar situation where they didn't really have the quarterback to do it. It looked like they brought in Will Levis, but at the same time, you kind of still the jury's still out on them on Will Levis.
Yeah,
They had
yeah.
Malik
You don't know if
the
Levis
year
is
before.
it.
So,
Definitely not Malik Willis.
no,
So
he's
yeah,
a
New England
different
to
level.
me is in a better. I think New England's in a better spot than Arizona or Carolina.
Yeah.
Only because I feel like they've got a defense,
Mm-hmm.
but they definitely got to land a QB. So maybe they're actually in a worse spot. But it looks like they're going to at least get a shot at one this year, obviously. So that's good for them.
There were 4 games this year where New England didn't even score over 10 points. And
There
2 of
was
those
3
were
games.
shutouts.
Didn't they give up 3 games? They gave up 26 points and they lost all 3 in a row.
Yeah. Yep.
That's stupid. You give up 8.5 points, not even 9 points a game. That
Yeah.
defense, it shows you how elite that D is. If I actually, there's another scenario for them. If the right quarterback was available in free agency, I don't think they should go that route, but it's a possible scenario if there was a quarterback in free agency instead. But I don't know who that would be.
There's
Unless
a
it's
few
like
that are
a
gonna be
Kirk
coming
Cousins
in.
type. But
Well,
he's coming off ACL.
Well, they got Hayden Hooker over in Minnesota, so Cousins could potentially be let go, but also at the same time, you have Baker Mayfield. You got.
I really think Tampa's gonna. I think Tampa's gonna lock down on Baker. He had a good year for him. They actually won the division. If they can keep one of those receivers or draft one, keep Rashad White, I think they're gonna try to build with him. He's in his 20s still. I think they might actually try that.
Yeah.
It could burn him because even though he had a good year, it could be the Daniel Jones thing. But he did a far better stats than Jones did in his best year, which is helpful. Because I don't love stats, I'm not everything, but he definitely proved he could at least be a competent starter.
Yeah, and
where Jones, a lot of it was with his legs,
And the last stat that I really have for New England Patriots is something I shared with y'all yesterday on the Frozen Tundra Network, was that Bill Belichick is 303 and 166 all time. A lot of people really talk about that, but without Tom Brady, he was 80 and 98, and with him, he was 222 and 67. I mean, it's a stark contrast.
What do you think of that?
It just proves that really Bill Belichick benefited more from Tom Brady than Brady benefited from Bill Belichick. I mean, he went on to another team and won the Super Bowl in his first year away from New England. And
except for the Matt Castle season.
Yeah.
But he still had the team in place, and it was there for Brady.
Yeah, but they still missed the playoffs to Matt Castle season. So
11-5, right?
Yep, and they missed the playoffs.
Which sucks for him because 11-5 should always make the playoffs, in my opinion.
You would think.
That's not even that. Missing the playoffs isn't even. That's not even an indictment on him. 11-5 with Matt Castle, you should be coach of the year candidate, in my opinion, with Matt Castle.
Yeah.
So that buffers him, but the rest, I think you nailed it. It is also we gotta give him one benefit of the doubt here. It is so hard to come off an MVP and Hall of Fame quarterback. What the Packers have done is stupid lucky. It's never happened. San Fran is the closest scenario, but they had 2, and it looks like we might be on 3 guys now, which is just dumb. Because I really do see it with this kid. I mean, we were up and down the season, but I think it's there. It's really hard to come off that Hall of Fame quarterback. A lot of times it doesn't work out the next guy. And that's historically the case. So it sucks for Belichick that his pre-Brady legacy wasn't great, because it's really hard to come off. And look at the NBA. Even Greg Popovich, after Duncan and Ginobili, and he had Kawhi, he screwed the Kawhi thing. But until Victor now, Wembanyama, and they sucked now even with him, they've sucked. And I think everyone thinks Pop is a top 10 coach of all time. So it sucks coming off those Hall of Fame players. It's really, really hard to, unless you've got another guy coming up, to do it. And Belichick did try to draft other quarterbacks, and Brady didn't want to do it when he was there. So that screwed him too a little bit.
It did. I mean, it is a quarterback-driven league now. And going to our next team that last discuss is the Washington Commanders, who also are
fun
having some
team.
issues at quarterback. Right now, their offense is ranked 23rd in points for, and also 21st in yards per game. Their defense sucks.
The defense.
So I mean,
that's where I'm scared. They gave up 518 points this season.
Mm-hmm.
My God,
is just beyond. If I was Joe Harris, I would be like, "What did I just buy for $5.5 million?" But they started out the gates actually really well. They started off 2-0, and after they just got
were they like 3-1 after 4 games?
No, they were 2-2. They were 3-3 after 6, but really and truthfully, after the Buffalo game, 37-3, that kind of was like, oh, okay, maybe not. And
so you tell me they went 1-10 down the stretch? They went 1-10.
Probably.
Wow.
I mean, they lost.
Wow.
That I do know, and they played Philadelphia really well, but also at the same time, we could probably look at that as a crack in the wall too. But they basically, it just feels like they cleansed midway through the season. Ron Rivera was already a dead duck at the beginning of the season, from what we were talking about earlier with the Black Monday segment. They're free agents. They got quite a few leaving: Curtis Samuel, Kendall Fuller, Antonio Gibson, Cameron Curl, who a lot of people don't know, but he was their leading tackler this year at safety, which is also a bad thing when your safety is your leading tackler. Back. But,
yeah, it's never a good sign.
Yeah, this is a team that it's going to get worse before it gets better, in my eyes, unless they're
coming off a crap owner that I think is kind of poisoned that franchise, unfortunately.
I'm gonna actually have to find the YouTube documentary, or basically it was someone put up basically all the stuff that Daniel Snyder did. Him leaving is going to be a huge plus for the Washington franchise and for its fans.
Yeah.
So.
But
as far as Sam Howell goes, it looked like he was the answer. It looked like he was going to be the face of the franchise the next couple of years, and then you see what just happened, where they would only win 2 of the last 15 games of the season when it spiraled out of control. And the defense was already struggling before they sent Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and it just basically just ballooned after that. I mean, personally, what do you think?
I think this is the team I'd actually, even though they've got some talent on offense, I think this is the team I'd least want to get involved with. But it's got to be nowhere to go from here. You go from such a bad owner, anything's got to be better, and it might rebuild. But Dan Snyder really effed that team up. They've been so mediocre and poisonous and toxic for over 20 years. It could take a little bit to come back up, but if they got a strong owner, that'll help a lot.
Right.
But I don't believe in Howell. I'd move on. I like Brian Robinson. They still got McLaurin. They still got Scary, McLaurin, even though I'm not sure if he's a true one, even though I like him. But, and I thought Dawson was going to come on, but he really didn't this year. I don't know if he was injured the whole season. Also, I didn't watch a lot of Washington. But you look at the worst team in defense, and what scares me is they sold their players. Why would you do that with a young team? I just don't understand.
Yeah, they're both.
Hopefully they can rebuild that D, but I think they just got to start with quarterback and get it right. And I just don't think Howell's it. So I know keep coming back to quarterback, but it's just the most important position, and I don't think Howell's it at all. Personally, I would start with they're going to need a lot of players on D. They were 32nd in D, 32nd in yards, 32nd in passing. So that's a 3 for 3, and then 27th in rushing, 26th in sacks. So those other guys weren't really helping, but then they went to their new teams and helped a lot. You saw what it did with Chicago.
Yeah, no,
San Fran. It transformed your D. These midseason trades in the NFL are actually underratedly really, really, really helpful. Look at last year with Roquan Smith and McCaffrey. It changed both those teams. And the Bears, it really did. It coincided with getting Sweat. So, dude, I don't even know where to start with this Washington team. I don't even really like a lot of players on it. They actually suck. Like, Brian Robinson's good, and I like McLaurin, but that might be freaking it. Their team's terrible. It's trash all around, and it's going to take years to rebuild. I'm sorry. I would get a quarterback. I would pair him with an elite receiver, if possible, quick, and you got McLaurin, and then start building the rest of the franchise. That's probably where I'd start. Or I'd start and get a super elite defensive player if that's the position they're at. But aren't they like, what's the draft order? Aren't they top five?
They're fourth. They're going to get a quarterback. They're going to get their fourth.
So good for them. They're going to land a quarterback. What did they land? What was the haul? Did they get a second for Young or a third?
They got a second from us because a lot of people were
but it's the end of the
questioning that.
But it's the end of a second from the 49ers. So it's like basically a high third, and they got a third for Sweat, right?
Yeah, they got.
They do.
Yeah, they got
the good thing for them is they got a lot of picks now. If they can hit on these picks, but it sucks when you're not fully trusting the team, like when it's just a culture thing and you're not really trusting it. You know what I mean? So
and also
they just got to rebuild that culture because they don't have a culture.
And one of the things a lot of people don't realize is when they made the trades that they made for Chase Young and Montez Sweat, the reason why the 49ers traded away a third round pick is because he had injury issues. I agree. He did.
Sweat
And Montez
did. True.
So I don't know. But as far as they go, I see them going quarterback and then hopefully getting a tackle or something to protect them. In
that scenario too, I think it sucks because I think they need to rebuild on both sides of the ball. So
yeah,
pick a side, and I'd focus heavy on that in this draft, and then I'll probably use some of the salary cap to rebuild on the other side of the ball. That's probably what I would do. I mean, the first couple picks, anyways. I'd either go heavy offense or heavy defense, but that's a total rebuild scenario. Whereas like New England at least has a defense to fall back on. It's like literally they feel like a team New England actually feels easier than most. You land a quarterback in free agency or in the draft, and you go get one legit weapon at receiver or two, and you actually might have a playoff team next year if that defense plays as good as it did. For real. They might not be that far away. I don't like the offensive line either, but at least they've got one side of the ball mostly figured out.
Yeah, well, that's because
that D is so legit. You get a competent offense. I think you're 8, 9, 9, and 8.
All right. Going on to number 5.
What you got?
Your top 5 running backs of all time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking at this one.
Just go ahead.
I got Barry, number 1. He's I'm looking at him at 7 on NFL.com, and I just don't agree. The one indictment is he only played 10 seasons, and he had a weakness at the goal line because I watched Barry. I actually remember it. I was born in '88, but I actually remember a lot of Barry, and maybe I'm remembering it a little bit wrong, but I do remember he sucked a little bit at the goal line, which was really weird for how strong he was. But just the way the dude, his highlight reel.
He was a home run hitter.
It's just like watching Michael Jordan, man. There's just something so special. I'd probably go Peyton at 2. He also was just so highly unique and special.
Yep.
I'd probably go Jim Brown, number 3.
Right.
I'd actually go LT4. I just love the guy. He was effing amazing.
He was great. I did like LT.
When he was at his absolute best, his peak was close to those other dudes, and he was just so dynamic. What sucks is there's guys before I was alive or can remember, like Dickerson, who was special, and Bo Jackson and Gale Sayers, who probably deserves.
Eric Dickerson made it look effortless.
Yeah, and I've watched highlight tape, so that's all I can go off of. I didn't live through it. And Earl Campbell. So I'll probably would say, okay, so my top, Barry, Peyton, Brown, Tomlinson. As good as Emmett was, he's not. I think I'm gonna go Dickerson or OJ, and then I'll go Emmett. I love Emmett. Don't get me wrong. He was perfect. He was perfect for that system, and he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. But pure talent, he was a cheat code in Madden. 95.
Yeah.
Crazy if you can believe it, almost 30 years old. But as dominant as he was, and he's the all-time rushing leader for a reason. He's also not a top 5 talent running back. I probably have him at what was that, 7?
I can agree with
Because
that.
I'd have Dickerson and Simpson above him. Sayers gets a mention, but I'd probably put Dickerson, Sayers, and then Emmett. Maybe Emmett pushes for 6.
Yep. And
this is a fun one, man. We got to do receivers in the offseason. That'd be fun.
My number 1, of course, is Barry Sanders. Also, I mean, I watched him play against us from the time I was a little kid until, he retired, abruptly. He actually is second all time in total yards as far as scrimmage go with 99.8, and Emmitt Smith had 82. So if he would not have retired, he would have put that record out of Emmitt's reach. I mean, at the time that he retired, he had 2,000 yards on him, and he played for 10 years. Emmitt played for 15, but there's only one player that has more yards average rushing or receiving more than Barry Sanders. That's my number 2, which is Jim Brown. And he had 104. He's the only player in the history of the NFL to actually average over 100 yards per game.
Yeah, it's like the Michael Jordan record. Like, no one's ever going to break that.
No one's going to touch it. I mean, and really and truthfully, if you really, we'll talk about that too in a second. But Walter Payton is my 3rd. I mean, he's the sweetness. He broke the record that Jim Brown's set, and he just was like the prototypical you can do everything with this running back. And I just really
we were close on our top 3. Yeah. We flip-flopped. Yeah.
Number 4, this one was a little bit iffy with me, but after I read it and everything, Emmitt Smith is actually my 4th one. And I know that I actually
don't blame you. LT was just, I just felt like his peak was stupid. He just he did that gallop like Peyton. He did,
and the little teardrop that he do when he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
But the thing about Emmitt Smith is he is second to only Jerry Rice in total scrimmage yards gained. He has 20.
No, I get it. His stats are just stupid.
Well, he ran behind basically a wall for most of his career.
Yeah, that's why I knock him, because his offensive line was one of the best. And like if we were ranking O lines, that '90s Cowboys O line would be top 5 for sure.
Larry Allen and Nate Newton right off the rip. I can name.
And he had Moose Johnson as his fullback before they credited him. I mean, he said it in his Hall of Fame speech.
Considered a Hall of Famer.
Like, that's the reason why LT was so good as Lorenzo Neal, man.
So my number 5 is actually Marshall Faulk. And
nice pick. I started thinking it after I talked. I was like, I left Marshall Faulk out. And he was such a freaking weapon. If we're talking receiving and running, he would crack my top 5. He would crack my top 3, probably, actually. I was just thinking pure runner, so he didn't pop into my brain right away, even though he was an elite runner too.
He was.
His receiving is what helped make him so special, actually.
What makes him so special is that he had 4 consecutive 2,000 scrimmage yard seasons. I mean,
absolutely. That's just stupid.
He can run around you. He can run through you. He can catch the pass out of the backfield. I mean, he made the greatest show on turf what it was. He had Bruce and Holt, but he was great. He played. I mean, he was great for. That was after his first 5 seasons. He went over there mid-20s and was still late 20s and was still a lead. Yeah. And a quick question for you, a little pop quiz. Who was the first running back to actually have 1,000 season? 1,000? Yeah. 1,000 receiving, 1,000 rushing. Ooh, it wasn't Falk? Huh? It wasn't Falk. Mm-mm. Oh, that's a really good one. His nickname was Catfish. And he played for San Francisco. Roger Craig. Someone just actually asked that. I gotta add your friends on here. Hold on, let me get to the video. Someone just asked. I like that 2 hour. I'm continuing my 2 hour streak of these shows. I keep going over 2 hours.
Every freaking time, I swear. The one with Bill this Friday will be short.
So who's in
and I'm
that
doing.
test?
I got some fun. Oh, Seth. It was Seth. Where do you put Eric
Oh.
Dickerson and Roger Craig?
Roger Craig, me personally, Eric Dickerson is right there. He's at 6 or 7. I know that I basically was dying on the hill about Emmitt Smith being 8th, but after I saw his scrimmage yards and the fact that he basically was
you could
the
not do
offense
it, right?
for Dallas, I had to move him up. Eric
I get it,
Dickerson,
yeah.
I mean, he was the first running back. I mean, he still has the record for season rushing yards in the season, which probably will never get broke again. Because of the way that the NFL has actually changed. Even though there's an extra game, everyone's kind of sliding away from running the ball, and they're going with more of a running back committee. But I would say out of my 5, I would say probably LaDainian Tomlinson, then Eric Dickerson. And
Dude,
as far as Roger Craig,
Falk.
I'll be looking around 11, 12.
Falk
He's vastly underrated, still not in the Hall of Fame, which is a crime. And, he's a big part of that offense that the 49ers won 3 Super Bowls with.
Roger Craig, interesting.
Yeah, go ahead
I'm
and check
looking.
out his stats.
Some honorable mentions. Curtis Martin. I'm going to be honest with you. I got a newer
Curtis
one,
Martin
but
is
Adrian
tough,
Peterson
too.
does belong. Adrian Peterson deserves some honorable mention. So does Curtis Martin.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at NFL.com. I've heard of Don Henry Johnson, but he was still before my time. Thurman Thomas was awesome. I remember him. He was great. I loved Jerome Bettis too. I'm happy he made the top 25. John Riggins was good. If Charles Davis, he's like a Sterling Sharp to me. If he'd played longer, he'd be up there. In my opinion, I could be wrong. He could have faded quick, but he was on a level. It was special.
Before you continue on, let me go ahead and do the 6th one because I don't want you to name someone when I ask you.
Okay.
Name a player that you never saw live but wish you would have seen play live.
Probably Jim Brown, honestly.
Jim Brown?
Okay. But I mean, I'm going to give you a Packer too. I really just wish I could have seen Bart Starr coached by Lombardi. I think that would have been freaking amazing. But no, any other player? No, it'd be Jim Brown for sure.
I went with Earl Campbell.
That's a good one too. That really is. Look, if you look at the dude's stats, like I'm going to do a deep dive on this tomorrow. I've got some free time at work. I'm going to come back with you on Thursday and be like, man, I did a stats dive, and the 1,000 thing by Roger Craig is stupid. But yeah, I'm looking at Marshall Faulk's stats. I don't blame you, dude. He had 3 seasons in a row. He had over 5 yards carry, and he had over 750 receiving yards in those 3 seasons. It was dumb. Then he tailed off right after that, but he had 7 seasons over 1,000 rushing yards. And like you said, the 4 in a row over 2,000 scrimmage yards is stupid. That's just ridiculous. The guy was special. He played right up until his late 20s, and then he fell off, and he still was good for a couple seasons with the Rams.
Oh, he took a beating. I mean, at one point,
yes, he did.
You look at the quarterbacks he had. Warner was, of course, he became a Hall of Famer. But Mark Bolger after that, and I mean, then it was just like, But yeah, that's pretty much the 6-pack for this week. And I'm going to go ahead and hit some music real quick because I think Seth is actually looking at it right now. So Seth, this is going to be your intro for your spotlight from now on. And that's pretty much it.
You're having a lot of fun with this StreamYard stuff, I can tell.
Yeah, I've been playing with it a little bit, and
I just don't understand why if you're paying for it, it says presented by StreamYard. It's not supposed to. I don't get it. It's weird.
Well, see, the thing about that is whenever I switched out the overlays and everything, it does this.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I can't really do that. So I go on StreamYard one. I mean, I could take it off and leave it off, but I was like, I don't know.
No.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
fine. No, you're good. It's cool that if there's an option for it. So,
yeah, I'll see if I can find something else.
before we close off, I got a couple things really quick.
Hold
Whatever
up.
we get there.
This actually plays into it too, because you know what, man? We're in overtime.
So we are going to do a panel episode on Thursday. It's going to be a joint episode. It might be the first of a new show between me and Ned. We're very excited. We've got Joe from Frozen Tundra and possibly AK from Millie Goats, who's been on my show. We're going to do some playoff stuff and some other. I'm sure we're going to take some tangents. I've already slotted 2 hours off on Thursday with all of us that like to talk football. But I think we're going to have a freaking blast. This was awesome, too. I think that's going to be great. And then I've got Bill in our typical Friday. He's getting back from Disney. We're going to do our pick'ems on Friday night. And then I haven't even told you this yet, Ned. With Ben Holloway, who does Death, Taxes, and Sports, which is a really cool show. You should check it out. He's a Cowboys guy. I think you've been talking to him on Twitter.
Yeah, you're telling me about
me and him we're doing a Packer Cowboy only Sunday morning preview.
Ooh.
Sunday morning, probably 10:30 Eastern time. I'm very excited. 30 minutes, just Packers and Cowboys. I'm ecstatic. I asked the wife, I was like, can you occupy the kiddo for 30 minutes?
Are you going to do 2 hours with that?
I want to go to the game. Huh?
I said, you're going to do 2 hours of Packers Cowboys content?
I could. No, we said we're going to keep it to 30 minutes. Just Packers Cowboys. I'm really excited. So I've got all of that, and then it's going to be hard for me not to go on Frozen Tundra on Saturday. I'm pretty excited. So,
dude, you are stacked this week.
Yeah, I actually, somebody asked me, Pete from Foxborough asked me to come on tomorrow, but it's too early, and I was like, it's probably healthy I don't do one for one day this week.
Yeah. I told Amy straight out. I said, my wife, I told her, I said, I'm going to take you out on a date Friday. So,
we are broke, so I want to. When I get paid in a couple of weeks, we will be taking. We already found a cool movie brew house. We're gonna go see something. Maybe still Wonka if it's still out, but we're gonna definitely go do a date.
Yeah, my wife
good, man. What are y'all gonna do?
Sign out.
What are you guys gonna do?
Well, I haven't planned it yet, but I'm gonna take her out to dinner. We're gonna probably walk around, maybe go down to Shelter Cove, which is an area in this area. We live down the street from Hilton Head, so it's very watery and can be romantic sometimes. And depending on the weather and everything, we do that. We may go play some miniature golf or something. But
so you guys right by all the golf stuff there?
Huh? Oh
yeah. You guys right by all the golf stuff there?
Like Sea Pines and all that? Yeah. We're literally like 30 minutes away.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. Nice. So typically with overtime, we discuss anything that you want to talk about that we haven't touched up on the cast. And basically you just nailed it. I was going to talk about the show a little bit. Also, shout out to Danny Glass, who was our fantasy football winner. He actually went under surgery today. They found a little abscess in his intestines, so he had to go under the knife. Our prayers are with you, and I hope everything's all right. Shout out to Heidi. She actually texted me up earlier today and said that she was going to watch the show, and that was at 7:30. So we'll see if that actually happened. And thanks also for you joining us today. I wish Seth would have finished it off but he's going to be doing the SEC West team grades next week. So
thanks for having me on. I really want. I have so much football I wanted to talk. So thanks, man. All right, fun. I'm excited about our show Thursday. It might be the first of a new one. I'm pretty excited. Joe from Frozen Tundra is awesome, and you and him. That was exactly what I thought that was going to be when y'all got together on Frozen Tundra. I was like, that's going to be very interesting. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, once again, Seth, Isaac, Fun Football Podcast. Check them out. You can find them on Rumble, YouTube, He's pretty active on Twitter as I am, and just check us out. And then also we will be. It's a working title right now. Right now we're talking blitzing the blind side.
Yeah.
And State of
so,
the Franchise would be a good one too. So
hey, that actually isn't a bad name. So unless we come up with a name, my plan was just to make this a joint episode on Thursday, like I kind of just did now. But I'm going to promote it as both of ours. I didn't really on this one. I just said I was joining y'all. So if we get all the, if I get some time tomorrow, which I actually might, I'll play with some artwork. I got Canva Pro, so I'll mess with it.
Oh, nice.
Not that my logo is anything special. I think my logo sucks, but for Fun Football Pod.
Well, that's actually how I did these videos. It's off of Canvas. So
very cool. Yeah, if y'all have any cool names, but I like the Blitzing the Blindside or the State of the Franchise. I'm actually pretty down with both of those. So, but we're thinking about starting a new show. I don't know how often it'll be and stuff, but it's a show me and Metal do and have hopefully a full panel all the time. But if people aren't available, we'll probably, I'd like to have a 3 or 4 person show. So I think, because that's why I like bringing new people online. I don't like doing it solo. I've tried and it's just not as much fun.
It's rough. Honestly. I've done it before.
It's brutal. I feel like I'm talking to air. It sucks.
Right.
It's no good.
Well, that pretty much does it for this episode. Anything else?
All right. No. We'll talk more about what we're doing on Thursday. But also thanks to the listeners. Hopefully, it looks like you got a lot of eyeballs on it early. I was looking at it. But thanks everybody for hanging out so long. And go Michigan. National champs. Yeah. And hopefully, it'll be a one-and-done playoff success. I don't see us beating San Fran unless we beat Purdy's elbow off again. Just break his elbow like last year. But hopefully we can upset the Cowboys because I want to reign over all these Cowboy fans. I'm going to make them listen to the end of this episode. I'm going to say go to the 2:17 mark. I'm going to trash your Cowboys for 30 seconds. I want to laugh at Cowboys fans who are the most nauseating, annoying fans on the planet. Your team hasn't done anything in 30 years. I honestly think Dak is going to choke either this game or next. He's been really good this season, but the way he played last year in the playoffs against San Fran and the year before that was really subpar. And I just hope they fall flat in their face so I can just laugh for 4 months. It'll make the rest of my semester so much better as a teacher. So just please lose. It'd be glorious.
Just gonna walk around and say, "How about them boys?" No. How about them Cowboys? I remember the 90s. One of the big jokes was, what is a drug ring in Dallas called? A huddle. So it was just because Michael Irvin and everything like that. But yeah, good times. Yeah. I'm looking forward to y'all's game more than anything because it's kind of a throwback. Also, you could say the Bucks and Eagles, but
Cowboys. It's a fun rivalry.
Yeah, so
it's a good one, and we've had some good ones even in the 2010s. The Dez one and the other one with Rodgers. If you remember that one, the pass he threw to get in field goal range to win it just broke their hearts. But in the 90s, the Cowboys owned us. We lost 3 times in a row before we won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Cowboys owned everyone in the 90s. They were tough. But that pretty much does it for this episode. Please follow us. Follow Isaac and the Fun Football Podcast. Seth will hopefully be able to make it the whole way through. And that pretty much does it. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Thanks. That was fun, man.